At the elementary school for Beastmasters, the students were informed that there was less than a week left before the exam to become an Imperial Beastmaster. The skills assessment will take place tomorrow. The instructor reminded the students that they had already signed a contract for their first beast. Today, they need to get plenty of rest, prepare properly, and strive for good results in the future. Some students were very nervous ahead of the exam. After all, with their current abilities, it was difficult to train as Beastmasters. Many realized that the Imperial Academy was out of their reach. One of the students said that even though he couldn't get into the Imperial Beast Academy, he had no trouble getting into a regular academy in the city of Ningjiang. Another student added that if he didn't make it to at least the trainee level, he would remain an ordinary person for the rest of his life. The young man thought that the qualification assessment would take place very soon. But how could this relate to his rebirth? He had transferred into his current body. Thanks to the fusion with the memories carried by this body, he knew what kind of world this was. The era of the cataclysm that occurred hundreds of years ago brought with it countless evil spirits that emerged from rifts in different dimensions to hunt humans. People rose up to fight back. Humanity gradually learned to tame beasts and use them in battle. The profession of Beastmaster was born and took the world stage. In the era of Imperial Beasts, Beast became a symbol of status and class. To become a Beastmaster is to enter the elite of society. For young people in this world, the greatest dream is to become a powerful master of an Imperial Beast. In this world, all young people over the age of 18 can acquire their first Imperial Beast. The higher one's soul power, the higher the maximum level of the beast. However, this did not apply to the young man. Before he had come to this world, the body's previous owner had already signed a contract. Little Snowball was considered harmless to humans. He wasn't even capable of evolving. The young man wondered, would he really become an ordinary person in the future? The boy thought that there were many strong people around him, and he was destined to be a nobody. One of the students told Lin Ji not to even dream of it. It's no big deal if he can't become a Beastmaster. At least he'll be able to sit in an office. There's no need to take such a risk. Another student said it would be better not to go anywhere at all. He could sell ice cream at the mall with his snowball. Lin Jai was angry at his students. Suddenly, the system began the activation process. Activation was successful. The achievement system was officially open. The young man was surprised. So much time had passed, but the system had only appeared now. Had it been charging all this time? Linji was happy because he had finally received his system. Snowball's evolution is possible after reaching 100% growth. Linji was surprised. Does Snowball have a tendency to evolve? An additional evolution choice must be made. The path of the giant or the path of the queen. The young man knew that Snowball couldn't evolve, but perhaps this was some kind of hidden path to evolution? Linji had already realized that there was no longer any need to open an ice cream stand. He, too, could become a Beastmaster. The queen's path sounded very appealing. On the path to the queen was the icy soul. Linji tried to upgrade Snowball. The guy decided to use his achievement points and carried out the necessary transformations. The evolution was complete. The growth rate was 100%, and he had reached the second level. Linji was delighted that the level had increased. That meant he could continue evolving further. The young man wondered what had actually happened to Snowball. The beast was ranked F class. The system reported that he needed to prepare for further evolution. 20 ice elements and 1 soul jade. Not everyone knows about this pre-evolution formula. Linji said he was going to get some money and then go shopping. The students laughed and said that this guy had already gone off to sell ice cream. Linji told Snowflake not to pay any attention to that trash. Tomorrow everything would depend solely on him. One of the students was outraged. What had Lin Jie just called him? The Zhang family was the second most influential in the city. Lin Jie knew he couldn't stand up to this guy right now. But tomorrow everything could change. The students laughed and said that this guy couldn't even evolve. If they were in his shoes, they wouldn't even bother going to tomorrow's qualifying assessment. Linji spotted a girl his age. She told Zhang Hao not to be too cocky. Zhang Hao saw the girl and said, "Miss Guan has graced us with her presence." He was just putting this trash in his place, nothing more. Could it be that Guan was defending this guy because she liked him? Linji told Anning not to pay any attention. Soon these guys would figure it all out. Linji added that he needed to pop into the store now. The young man was upset. Why were the materials so expensive? He'd spent all his savings in just a few months. Guan Anning asked if Lin Jie would come over for dinner tonight. Her mom was curious. He promised to stop by. Anning asked if Lin Jie wanted to be with her during the assessment tomorrow. The young man agreed, since he was going to participate anyway. The girl was delighted. Together they would show that Jiang Hao, who was capable of what? Linji said there was no need to worry. He would surprise everyone tomorrow. The girl waved her hand and said she would be waiting for him. Linja sat down on the couch at home and said that the soul jade and the ice element had cost him a fortune. He assumed that evolution would cost a lot of money. Linjai fed the items he had acquired to Snowball and said that after that, it would be able to evolve. Snowball swallowed everything in one gulp and began to grow in size. Linji was surprised. Could this really be true evolution? After a bright flash, Linji saw a little girl appear before him. She was made of ice. It was an ice spirit. On the path to becoming a queen, the next stage of evolution must be the Snow Maiden. Linji was delighted because he had succeeded. Now he had a real ice spirit. According to the system's data, the ice spirit had risen an entire rank. The young man thought that he was currently in his senior year of high school. Who would have thought that his familiar would grow so quickly, jumping straight to the second rank? The protagonist felt a chill, and that chill was getting closer and closer. The power was far greater than he had imagined. Linjai thought that if it weren't for the system, he would never have guessed about such materials for advancing Snowball. To level up, you need a soul stone and a body enhancement stone. The number of soul stones increases soul power, and the awakening level multiplies it several times over. Body strengthening stones directly improve physical condition, which is very important. Linjai felt the transformations in his body. His physique had been enhanced to the second rank. His soul and soul power had increased. His achievement points had also increased. The young man no longer felt the cold. To test the limits of his body, he punched the wall. Although he didn't need to fight personally, physical strength wouldn't hurt either. In case of danger, his ability to survive needed to be improved. A hole formed in the wall after the punch. The protagonist decided to use his achievement points. A breakthrough was achieved. His height increased by 100%. The ice spirit transformed before his eyes. His growth increased by another 24%. This was already the 4th level. Linjai decided that he would surprise everyone at tomorrow's qualifying assessment. On the morning of the exam, Guan Aning asked Linjia if he was ready. He replied that he was. The girl said that was just wonderful. The young man became even more motivated. Linjai noticed that people were changing. The girl spotted Guan Aning. She's a talented high school student after all. But what is she doing with that loser? They say that the day before, Zhou Hong confessed his feelings to her, but she rejected him. Why does everyone like her? What's so great about her? Guan Aning was our hero's cousin and, incidentally, the school's genius. However, not everyone liked her. Anning asked if her brother and Snowflake were really going to participate. Linji replied that there was no other way. Guan Anning remarked that if they made it through the qualifiers, they would have to celebrate. The girl suggested going to a cafe. Suddenly, some young people approached. The girl told her brother that Guan Aning had stolen her boyfriend. Anning looked at the stranger and asked who she was and who her boyfriend was. The girl said her boyfriend's name was Zhou Hong. Anin replied that she now understood who she was talking about. Guan Anning declared that she wasn't interested in that guy. She had turned him down. The stranger said that wasn't true because Zhou Hong had left with her. Guan Anning took her brother by the hand and said they were leaving. They had more important things to do. The young man grabbed Anning by the shoulder and asked if she really intended to just walk away like that, since she had hurt his sister's feelings. Anning told him to take his hands off her immediately. The guy got angry and swung his fist at the girl. Linji intercepted the aggressor's fist. The protagonist was determined. The stranger told her brother to stop fooling around, since this guy was a total wimp. The bully asked if the young man really wanted to play the hero, but he definitely didn't have enough strength. Linjai delivered a knee strike to his opponent's jaw. The thug was sent flying far backward. The girl was frightened. Lin Ji, filled with determination, walked toward the bully. Linjai declared that he was Guan Anning's older brother. If they wanted anything, they should discuss it with him first. Anning was surprised at where Lin Ji had gotten such strength. Our hero thought he never imagined he could become so strong. The bully got angry. Had this guy completely lost his fear? The bully summoned his beast, the Twilight Wolf, a second-rank first-level creature. The bully said he wanted to demonstrate the Twilight Wolf's power to these pathetic high schoolers. Guan Anning thought that her beast was only at the first rank, 7th level. The chances of winning were extremely slim, but she saw no other way out. She was about to summon her beast, but her older brother intervened. Anning was surprised. What was Lin Ji planning to do? Did he really want to use Snowball? Lin Jai told his sister that if she got injured, it could affect her final score. Anning should rely on him. The stranger laughed and called Linji a fool. After all, he had the worst stats in the whole city. Did he really think he could defeat her brother? The bully ordered his Twilight Wolf to attack the opponents. The Spirit of Ice prepared to take the attack head-on and used its unique abilities. The Twilight Wolf was frozen and turned into an icy statue. The attackers were frightened. The young man didn't understand how this could have happened. Guan was surprised. Could this really be her brother's snowball? Lin Jie explained that his snowball had evolved. The bully shouted for Twilight Wolf not to stand there. Something had to be done. Lin Jie said that this was no longer Snowball, but an ice spirit. Under the influence of the Spirit of Ice, Twilight Wolf was shattered into countless ice shards. The young man shouted that this was impossible. After all, he was facing an ordinary student, and his beast was only at the first rank of the 9th level. How could he have destroyed his second-rank wolf? The girl asked her brother what he was going to do now. The bully replied that he hadn't thought this high schooler's beast would turn out to be stronger than his own. The guy added that they had miscalculated and it was time for them to leave. Lin Jie asked in surprise, "Who said you could leave?" The brother and sister were frightened. Could it be that this Lin Jie wanted to take action against them? Lin Jie was determined. The Spirit of Ice was in full combat readiness. The bully approached our hero, bowed and apologized. He said that he and his sister had made a mistake. Lin Jie asked, "Does this guy really think it's enough to just apologize to him?" The bully apologized to Guan and also admitted that they were wrong. He begged for mercy and promised to teach Zhou Hong a lesson in good manners. The girl was surprised. Why was her brother acting so strangely? The guy got angry and slapped his sister across the cheek. He told her not to butt in on the conversation and to apologize immediately. Guan turned around and said it was time for them to leave. The bully breathed a sigh of relief. Lin Jie said that the two of them could now leave in peace. The young people turned and started running away. The bully nudged his sister in front of him so she wouldn't fall behind. Anning said her brother was really cool. How awesome that he'd been able to take down a second-ranked Twilight Wolf. His snowflake had truly evolved. The ice spirit smiled. Lin Jie noted that they didn't have much time left. They needed to hurry to the exam site. The Imperial Beast Association building was impressively grand. Stella was inside the building. The young people were examining the object with interest. Lin Jie thought that this was the last qualifying exam of the year. Some would permanently lose their Beastmaster qualification, while others would successfully enroll in the Royal Beast Academy and begin a new life. Our hero was determined to succeed. A man approached the young people and invited everyone who wished to take part in the Beastmaster exam. The man added that after completing the test, everyone would receive a small bronze medal inscribed with low, medium, high, or super. They had to choose the difficulty level of the task they would face. The students looked over the tasks and were surprised. It would be great to pass the super level, though not everyone manages to do so. But even after passing the lowest level, one can become a master of beasts. Guan asked her brother what he would choose. The man said that before they chose the difficulty level, he wanted to add something. Their future would depend on this, so they needed to choose wisely. They should join forces and choose the difficulty level that suits them. The disciples were curious. Who was the brave soul who would choose the super level? In that case, it would be like signing one's own death warrant. Lin Jie thought he had to take the risk. The super level was chosen. Guan was surprised. Had her little brother really chosen the hardest level? If he failed, he wouldn't be able to apply to college this year. The protagonist told his sister not to worry. He knew his limits. The students were surprised. Had this loser really chosen the super hard level? Had he made a mistake? The man asked, "Didn't the young man hear what he just said? That you have to choose wisely?" Lin Jie confidently stated that this decision had been made after careful consideration. The man was surprised. Did the guy really mean to say he thought he could clear the super hard level? The answer was yes. The man called the protagonist arrogant. However, he warned him, if the young man wanted to play with fire, that was his choice. The man said that since everyone had made their choice, he would now declare the exam open. After these words, Stella trembled and began to radiate excessive energy along with a bright glow. The students were transported to different locations. With Stella's help, it was possible to observe everyone. The man wondered how Lin Jie would behave. Finding himself in a new place, our hero realized that this was Stella's world. The students had been warned that any injury sustained in this dimension would not affect their true bodies. The protagonist decided that he was fine and ready to begin the task. Lin Jie received a notification from the system that he had earned a new achievement. defeating the Twilight Wolf. The young man was delighted, for even in this world he could see the system. The protagonist also received 100 achievement points and 1 soul stone. The Spirit of Ice nearly doubled his stats. Our hero, having been transported to Stella's world, found himself in an amphitheater. A fiery frog warrior, possessing a 7th level first-rank fire element, entered the arena to face him. Linji was surprised. Could this really be a super high level? After all, it was only a first-rank beast. The Toad Warrior opened its mouth and released a jet of fire. Linji activated his ice spirit and ordered it to unleash ice needles. The fire beast was frozen, turning into a block of ice pierced by an ice needle. The protagonist noticed that the ice needles proved to be stronger. The first stage was complete. The trial continued. Our hero was ready for the next steps. A ghostly monster entered the arena, a 9th level first-rank necromancer. Linji thought that for other people, such an opponent would be a serious challenge. The examiner, holding his breath, watched the unfolding events closely. Linji dealt with this opponent as well. The young man considered it nothing more than child's play. The examiner said that this guy was just lucky. The real test was only just beginning. A wood monster, a 2nd-rank, 2nd-level wood elemental, entered the arena. The man decided that this guy's beast was at most 2nd rank, 1st level. He wouldn't be able to handle a 2nd rank, 2nd-level monster, so this contestant didn't have long left. The wood monster was aggressive and immediately launched an attack. The ice spirit didn't lose her composure and prepared to parry the attack. However, the ice spikes didn't have the desired effect. Linja thought that this tree bark was very thick. It could even withstand ice spikes. The tree monster struck, and the ground around them cracked. The tree monster's tentacles spread out in all directions and wrapped around the spirit of ice. The girl found herself trapped by the tentacles. The examiner smirked. Even though this guy stands out among the newcomers, he won't be able to go any further. Linjai told the ice spirit to activate the ice sphere. The wood monster's tentacles were destroyed. The boy realized he had more than one skill up his sleeve. The ice spikes were activated again. The wood monster defended itself, but the ice spikes pierced its arms. There were so many ice spikes that the monster was stuck in the ice up to its waist. It could barely move. Linji realized the monster was trapped. The 3rd level had been successfully cleared. The trials continued. 2 levels remained. Many students were returning to reality from Stella's world. They had lost, so they felt dissatisfied. Many said they had almost managed to destroy the beast. Could it be that nothing had worked out this year either? Some hadn't expected the 5th level, with its low difficulty rating, to be so hard. Its monster was a 6th level one. However, some succeeded and were delighted to become Beastmasters. Many were intrigued by the 2nd-rank beast, but how could it have appeared at this stage? Everyone stared at Stella with interest. Could this guy really be clearing a super hard level? A notification appeared stating that the 4th level had been cleared. The final level had been unlocked. Linji sighed and realized this would be the last level. The student said that this guy turned out to be very strong. Could he be part of the local elite? Guan Anning also said that she had succeeded. But what was happening with her little brother, Lin Jie? Anning became curious about who the students were watching. Who could be that strong? Guan Anning moved closer and was surprised. Could it be that Lin Jie had passed the 4th level of the super difficult stage? A huge monster was taking part in the battle. It was a saber-toothed lion, a 5th level 2nd rank wild beast. Anning feared for her brother. After all, this was too brutal. Could a novice really handle such a beast? The protagonist acknowledged that he now faced a worthy opponent. The spirit of ice was performing its duties effectively. The saber-toothed lion lunged at his opponent. The spirit of ice shielded the young man with her body. The examiner wanted to see what the young man would do this time. He acknowledged Lin Ji's strength, but how far could he go? Although the ice spirit is higher in rank than the saber-toothed lion, a beast's strength depends on more than just rank. One must consider the beast's attributes, condition, environment, and the Beastmaster's strategy. All of these are factors that influence the outcome of the battle. The young man understood that the ice spirit had already been weakened by 4 consecutive battles, while the saber-toothed lion, on the other hand, was strong in one-on-one combat. This beast's speed and strength were superior to those of the ice spirit. Therefore, it would most likely turn into a difficult battle. The saber-toothed lion was approaching. Lin Ji said they needed to wait a little longer. However, the ice spirit had to be ready. At the last moment, our hero ordered the ice spikes to be activated. The command was carried out immediately. Those watching through Stella didn't understand what had happened. Could it really be a draw? However, when the icy fog cleared, everyone saw that the saber-toothed lion was lying on the ground, pierced by the ice spikes. The examiner thought it was simply unbelievable. This guy had managed to fight on equal terms with a 5th-level second-rank lion. That meant his beast was also no lower than a 5th-level second rank. The young man was good at hiding his true strength. No wonder he said he had carefully considered his decision. The saber-toothed lion leaped back to its feet and roared loudly. The Spirit of Ice stepped forward resolutely, signaling her readiness to face him one-on-one. The lion bared its teeth and walked slowly across the icy surface. The Spirit of the Ice had already begun to take effect. The protagonist thought that this lion was a beast from extremely cold regions, which is why it had high resistance to the cold. This factor did not work in our hero's favor. A new system notification appeared. The number of uses for the pet's skills had reached 10. The pet skill unlock feature has been activated. Linji wondered what this meant. Ordinary pets have no more than 2 basic skills, but the more skills they have, the more combinations are possible. Ice spikes, as a primary damage skill, heavily rely on control. Although the ice area is large, the damage and control are insufficient. In this situation, a strong control skill is needed. The saber-toothed lion leaped high into the air and attacked the Spirit of Ice. Our hero upgraded the Ice Spirit. Now it was a second-rank, 7th-level spirit. The disciples were surprised. What was that light? Had a transformation really occurred? But how was that possible? Where did this guy get the points to upgrade his rank? Linji, confident in himself, beckoned the saber-toothed lion with his hand. The saber-toothed lion approached. The young man said that now the opponent would try the ice chains. In the next instant, the saber-toothed lion was indeed stopped. Now its movements were restricted. Linji said that now the saber-toothed lion would try the ice spikes. The examiner was surprised. What kind of skill was this? Why could his pet use 3 skills? The saber-toothed lion continued to resist. Linji was surprised. Could its hide really be that thick? In that case, he needed to try again. The Spirit of Ice once again used its unique abilities. After another attempt, the saber-toothed lion was deactivated. It collapsed onto the ice and showed no signs of life. The protagonist received congratulations on passing. The training was complete. The super difficulty test had been successfully passed. Guan Anning was delighted and said that her little brother was simply magnificent. The students said it was simply unbelievable, that it couldn't be true. The examiner couldn't have allowed such a thing before either. The man said that he had seen many young masters with outstanding talent, but this was the first time he had seen such an unflappable young man. The young man's physique had risen from the 2nd to the 5th level. The Ice Spirit had also improved its physique. The Ice Spirit received achievement points. It became a 3rd-rank, 1st-level entity. Linji thought that this super-level trial was worth it. It boosted his strength, and that was impressive. The system announced that Linji could sign a contract with the second beast. The young man wondered whom he should choose. He would have to visit the pet store. The reward was received and the training was complete. Linji exited trial mode. The students surrounded Linji. Everyone was curious about the new hero. Now the young man had become a local celebrity. The students began asking how Linji had managed to do it and where he had gotten such a beast. Guan Anning threw her arms around her brother and said she had believed in him. He was the coolest guy she knew. The examiner said that the young man's abilities had impressed him. He took back his words. His confidence stemmed from strength, not impulsiveness or recklessness. The young people were surprised. Could the examiner really be apologizing to a student? Who would have thought? The examiner asked if the young man was interested in the Beastmasters Association. He could get a leadership position and a good salary with benefits. First, he would need to graduate from the Beastmasters Academy and then come to them. Guan Anning told her brother to accept the offer. Even the top students who graduate from the academy have to take an entrance exam to join the association. Linji thought that if he agreed now, he wouldn't have to pay for his education at the academy. However, the young man understood that there's no such thing as a free lunch. The more he got now, the more he'd have to give up in the future. Besides, there were too many restrictions in the Beastmasters Association. The young man didn't want to lose his freedom. Linji thanked the examiner for the offer. However, he had already made up his mind. He would consider the offer after completing his studies. One of the students said he was willing to join the association in this young man's place. The examiner thought that, given his current rate of growth, Lin Jie would be 100 times stronger by the time he graduated from the academy. The man said that in that case, he wouldn't force the boy. However, if he needed anything or changed his mind, he could find him at any time. The man gave his name, He Zhenwen. Two girls approached our hero. His sisters said they were Liu Xixi and Zhang Xiaoyun from the neighboring class. Xiaoyun asked Guan Anning for her brother's contact information. Liu Xixi asked the young man to add her as a friend. They've been watching this guy for a while, and in the future, they'll be able to hang out together. Zhang Xiaoyun also approached the young man and congratulated him. Lin Jie smiled at the girls and said it was time for them to leave. He and his sister still had things to do. Guan Anning told her brother to hurry up. Liu Yiqi called after him, asking the young man to add her as a friend. A message popped up on his smartphone saying that teacher Lin Jie was summoning him. The young man immediately appeared at the first request. The teacher congratulated him on passing the super difficult level test. The mentor hugged her student and told him she had believed in him. The woman said she wanted to give the young man something. The teacher added that this book contained the basic methods and techniques for training the spirit. It was one of the required subjects for training Beastmasters. It was best to start practicing early. Soul magic. Aside from pets, this is the primary means of combat for Beastmasters. Soul training allows masters to destroy beasts without relying on their pets, using only soul magic. It can be used in battle alongside pets. It can provide protection during combat so that Beastmasters do not get hurt. Lin Jie thanked her and promised to start practicing right away. The teacher added that if he ran into any trouble in the future, he could come to her at any time. The protagonist learned that soul protection creates a barrier that absorbs spiritual energy and can withstand any damage. The young man decided to learn the basics first, and then, after enrolling in the academy, he would have more time to study more advanced courses. 10 minutes later, our hero was already meditating, applying the knowledge he had gained. The progress of his meditation was evident. A protective sphere appeared around the young man. It usually takes ordinary people several days to master soul magic. It took our hero 10 minutes. His soul's constitution was also quite good. The soul magic skill was successfully mastered and a reward was received. Lin Jie thought that the system also influenced soul magic. The young man hadn't expected to achieve so much. The soul protection skill reached the 3rd rank. The protection had become stronger, and he could already feel it. The shield could cover up to 4 people. That's pretty good. Lin Jie realized that every time he used soul protection, it cost him about 10 units of soul power. The young man hadn't used the stone he received as a reward for his achievements yet. It was time to put it to use. After using the stone, his soul and soul power increased. The protagonist thought it would be a waste to spend so much energy just on defensive spheres. He needed to learn a few more skills. Our hero learned the skills Spirit Arrow and Spirit Shockwave. The effect was impressive. The young man said that although the power was small, the accuracy was astonishing. The system reported that Lin Jie had successfully mastered 3 types of magic. As a reward, he received 1 soul restoration potion. This potion can quickly restore all vitality. The young man thought this would be very useful. He would use the potion as needed. Lin Jie decided to upgrade Spirit Arrow and Spirit Shockwave to level 2. To do this, he had to spend 100 achievement points. The protagonist decided to save the remaining achievement points just in case. Tomorrow he would earn some money and buy a second pet. The next day, the young man went to the quest distribution center. This was the first time the young man had taken on a quest to earn money. With his current abilities, completing normal level quests shouldn't be a problem. After reviewing the information, the young man decided to choose the quest with the highest reward. Now he needs to clear Zhangzhong Canyon of hairy beetles. The system reported that, since his current status was Apprentice Beastmaster, 3 team members had been assigned for safety reasons. The reward would be split evenly. Lin Jie shouted that this was robbery since he had wanted to complete this quest himself. The system reported that he must arrive at Zhangzhong Canyon by 2 p.m. 3 participants were already in the canyon. One of them spotted our hero and said, "Finally, this guy has arrived." Lin Jie greeted the young men. Zhang Lei, a low-ranking Beastmaster, said they'd been waiting for this guy for half a day. But was he really not even a graduate? Zhao Mingshan, a low-ranking Beastmaster, was surprised. Why had they been assigned such a weakling? Wang Shuiyan told the guys not to yell at him, since it wasn't his fault. She added that the young man should just follow her. Lin Jie admitted that he hadn't finished his training yet, so he would rely on his senior comrades for everything. Wang Shuiyan noted that this guy was obedient. Zhao Mingshan warned that this mission might turn out to be more difficult than expected. They shouldn't risk their lives because of carelessness. Mingshan added that he was temporarily acting as the leader of this team, so everyone had to follow his instructions. The leader warned that he would reduce this guy's share of the reward because of his tardiness. The protagonist thought that these guys never managed to get into the Beastmaster Academy. They graduated from school and then started making a living by completing missions. Minshin said that since the group was assembled, it meant they were setting off. The group stopped in front of a huge pit, the bottom of which was invisible. A strange noise came from the pit. After a while, insect monsters appeared from within. Wang Shuiyun was surprised. Minshan said that all they needed to do was block the pit and destroy the bugs. The squad leader released his summoned beast and ordered it to attack the bugs. The summoned beast was a rhinoceros, a second-rank, 5th-level creature. Zhang Lei also released his summoned beast. It was a mantis, a second-rank, 6th-level creature. Wang Shuiyun told the newcomer to stay behind her. The girl summoned a bee, a second-rank, 5th-level summoned beast. The protagonist decided to first observe these people's abilities before making a decision. The monster beetles attacked the mercenaries using their strength and skills. They kept pouring out of the deep pit. Minshin said that his rhinoceros must break through the ranks of these beetles and destroy them. Zhang Lei told everyone to watch him. His summoned beast, a mantis, rushed at the beetles. Wang Shuiyun ordered the bee to attack faster than anyone else so that others could see how capable she was. The beetles nearby were attacked and destroyed thanks to them. Zhang Lei asked the newbie what he thought of their perfect combo. He could just watch and appreciate how cool they were. Minshan asked if this guy was still thinking about his share of the reward. You could say they'd given him a free training lesson. Wang Shuiyun added that when the time came, she'd share her share with this guy. For now, he just had to defend himself. Linji thought all these attacks were pointless. They posed no threat. However, the number of bugs wasn't decreasing. They dominated both the ground and the sky. Wang Shuiyun was frightened and asked what those sounds were. Suddenly, a huge beetle fell out of the pit. It was much larger than all the previous ones. Zhang Lei said that reinforcements had been called in at the enemy camp. Linji was surprised. Could there really be more monsters in this pit? At one point, the beetles, using their numerical advantage, attacked the rhinoceros. The beast fought back as best it could. The mantis and the bee were also attacked and deactivated. The situation took a sharp turn for the worse. Zhang Lei and Zhao Mingshan shouted at their summoned beasts to retreat immediately. They couldn't let these beetles destroy the summoned beasts. Linjai said it was useless. That sound had a paralyzing effect. The pets could no longer hear commands. Wang Shuiyun didn't know what to do now, since her bee had been injured. Zhang Lei was indignant. Why did the newbie know this and not say anything? Why is this guy of no use at all? Linji replied that right now, Zhang Lei should be concerned not with the pets, but with his own safety. The number of bugs kept growing. The team leader shouted that they had to run, or it would be the end of them. This mission turned out to be on some kind of insane level. The group leader turned and began running away from the bugs. Zhao Mingshan managed to hide behind the protective sphere that our hero had activated. Zhang Lei was surprised. Could this really be soul magic? Only the academy knows about this technique. How did this guy get it? Linji told the three of them to stop talking nonsense. They should just stand silently in the back. Linji held out his hand and summoned the spirit of ice. The girl appeared and immediately sprang into decisive action. The mercenaries were surprised. What kind of pet was this? They had never seen anything like it. Linjai thought that if these monsters were of the same rank as ordinary pets, their main advantage was their numbers. They lacked intelligence, however, as well as skills. Our hero said that his third-rank ice spirit possessed exactly the right techniques. The ice spirit froze all the beetles in the vicinity. The young man asked his colleagues if they still had time to recall their pets. However, in that case, they would have to give up all their rewards. The three participants felt discouraged. The team captain was forced to agree and acknowledge that all the rewards would belong to this guy. He asked him to return their pets. Zhang Lei was outraged. So, did this guy really dare to threaten and boss them around? Did he really think he was that very Lin Jie who had passed the extremely difficult trial? The protagonist confirmed it. Wang Shuiyun said she knew it all along. After all, an ordinary high school student couldn't possibly possess such power. Zhang Lei asked if Shuiyun really thought this guy was telling the truth. He refused to believe it. It would be better if the newcomer unfroze and returned their pets. Mingshan struck and deactivated Zhang Lei. He said that this guy had already demonstrated his power. There was no need to prove anything else. They had been unfair to him. Linjai noted that there wasn't much time left. Everything would thaw very soon. The three of them needed to get back to their pets as quickly as possible and leave before the swarm of bugs woke up. Wang Xuan asked what Linji was going to do. After all, these bugs weren't destroyed. They'd only been immobilized for a while. Lin Jai grinned and said he intended to capture their leader. Zhang Lei was surprised. Did this kid really want to venture deep into the pit? Without wasting any time, our hero jumped down. The spirit of ice followed him. Landing safely, the young man found himself at the bottom. It was dark there, but his improved physical condition had also enhanced his vision. The darkness was no longer an obstacle. The protagonist activated his spirit barrier and became out of reach for the insect monsters. There were too many insects. Linji thought that even with a large reserve of spiritual power, it would still be impossible to withstand their onslaught. Linjai decided to learn additional skills since the young man still had achievement points left. The ice puppet learned Ice Shield and New Star of the Ice Comet. Linjai thought that with the Ice Shield, the ice puppet could act freely and no longer needed his protection. New Star of the Ice Comet was suitable for dealing damage over a large area. Linye told the ice puppet to use Extreme Frost. The young man also activated the Spiritual Shield. The ice element was gathered. The protagonist ordered the use of the new Ice Comet Star. In total, 50 monster beetles were destroyed. Linji thought this was a very powerful explosive skill. Linjai decided that his pet could gain experience through battles and level up as well. Although it was slow, there were plenty of beetles, so this place would make an excellent training ground. Perhaps today the ice puppet would be able to break through to the next stage. A loud noise rang out, and the young man realized that the Bug King had appeared. Wang Shuiyan told her colleagues that they must hurry and report the danger of this mission. Otherwise, Lin Jie might die. Zhang Lei was surprised. What did she care about this boy? Another mercenary appeared nearby. The young man asked if the location for the mission involving the monster beetles was ahead. It was Luo Da, the turquoise spellcaster. Zhao Mingshan confirmed this and added that the target was right in front of them. However, they needed to be cautious. Wang Sheyun was surprised. Could this really be a bronze Beastmaster? Beastmaster badges are divided into bronze, silver, and gold. The young man confirmed that he was a bronze Beastmaster. His name was Luo Da. The association had noticed the increased difficulty of this mission, so they sent him to handle it. Wang Shuiyan said that was great because with this guy they would definitely manage. The girl expressed a desire to go with him. Luo Da declared that if his little sister wanted to watch his performance so badly, he couldn't refuse her. The Bronze Beast Lord looked closely at the girl. The young man turned to her colleagues and said that this didn't concern them. He wouldn't be taking those two with him. Zhang Lei said that they didn't want to go anyway. The system congratulated Lin Ji on his achievement. Conqueror of 100 Beasts. A growth acceleration card and 300 achievement points were received. Lin Ji was surprised. Were there really achievements like this? However, the reward seemed very good to him. The ice puppet was upgraded to the 3rd rank. Lin Ji thought he was one step closer to the Snow Maiden. Lin Jai decided it was time for the Beetle King to come out. However, when the beetle emerged from its hiding place, the protagonist realized it was too big. Our hero recalled that according to the mission details, the crisis involving mantises had begun a week ago. This meant that this beetle had recently evolved. The king of the monsters was the Invader's Mantis, a 4th rank, 1st level creature. Linji knew he couldn't run away. Otherwise, he wouldn't receive the reward. Suddenly, a stone monster appeared, ready to battle the monsters. Loda also descended to the bottom of the pit, carrying a girl in his arms. Wang Sheyun saw the young man unharmed and said that Lin Jie had done a magnificent job. She was glad that the young man was unharmed. Lin Jai said he was fine and asked why she was here. Loda was surprised. Could there be another mercenary here? He told the young man to retreat since it was too dangerous here. Loda noted that this was a praying mantis invader, the legendary king of praying mantises. Out of tens of thousands of praying mantises, only one ferocious 4th rank beast emerges, possessing the ability to control a swarm of insects. Linja pointed out that he had come here to complete a mission, so he asked the guy not to get in his way. He intended to deal with this boss on his own. Loda asked our hero if he knew who was standing before him. Loda pointed at himself and remarked that he was a Bronze Beast Lord. Who was this young man to speak to him like that? Loda summoned his stone giant, a 3rd rank, 9th level Beastmaster. Linji cast ice shackles on the monster and said he was a trainee Beastmaster. Loda was surprised. Could this really be the one who had passed those extremely difficult trials? No wonder this guy was so talented. However, Loda added that he himself had completed an apprenticeship, survived hundreds of battles, and then pass the trials for the bronze medal. Lin Jai said that he too intended to follow that path. Wang Shuiyan shouted that they shouldn't argue because danger was lurking behind them. A huge monster beetle appeared behind the young people. Lo Da said that now he would show the difference between him and this Lin Jie. The spirit magic skill was activated. A buff effect was also applied. The stone giant's current power corresponded to the 4th rank, 2nd level. Lin Jie was surprised. Could this really be spirit magic? Lo Da said that the ability to comprehend and enhance high-level magic skills is not something everyone can do. That is the difference between them. Luo Da warned that this opponent was quite a challenge. Lin Jai used icy shackles. The opponent activated spiritual blade. The king of beetles took damage. Lin Ji thought they had succeeded. However, the beetle turned out to be invulnerable. Luo Da admitted that they could spare this beetle today. They needed to think about what to do next. Lin Jai told everyone to step aside. He would deal with this monster himself. Luo Da shouted that this guy was crazy. He had seen that even the enhanced stone beast couldn't do anything about it. Luo Da asked what this newbie was up to. The protagonist decided to use the explosive seed card and activated the enhancement effect. Luo Da was surprised. Could it be that this guy also knew how to use the amplification technique? The ice puppet began to amplify its power, growing stronger before his very eyes. Luo Da was surprised by what this guy was doing. Who was he anyway? Lin Ji thought that with his support technique, he should be able to handle a 4th rank, 3rd level opponent within a minute. Lin Jai ordered the ice puppet to take immediate action. The ultra-powerful ice shackles were activated. The monster was captured. With the ice spirit's level increase, the power of the skills had become much greater than before. However, it would likely be impossible to control it for too long. The monster continued to hold out, and the young man decided it was time to increase the power. A spirit-powered attack was activated. The buff would remain active for another 40 seconds. The monster took serious damage. Its body was pierced right through. Luo Da shouted for the young man to stop. If he continued to use his spiritual power, it could lead to his death. Lin Jie declared that he was fine, since he had only used half of his spiritual power. Luo Da was surprised. That couldn't be possible, since this guy was just a beginner. Wang Shuiyun thought that perhaps the boy would be able to defeat this monster. The ice puppet activated the ice star. The monster screamed in pain. Luo Da was surprised. What kind of power was this? No wonder he had never seen the remains of this monster. Could it really not be destroyed? Luo Da recalled that once in ancient times, during the War of Gods and Beasts, humanity had gathered the 5 greatest primordial divine beasts to put an end to the chaos. Since then, these beasts had vanished without a trace. The remaining duration of the buff is 30 seconds. Lin Ji said it was time to end this. The ice spears were activated. Lin Ji said this would be the final blow. A system message appeared stating that the boss had been destroyed by a fierce blow. Wang Shuiyan shouted that it was a victory. Lin Ji had defeated the terrifying monster. Luo Da said, "Who would have thought that this guy would take all the credit for himself?" Lin Jai told the ice puppet that it had done a good job. The ice puppet's level was upgraded to rank 3, level 5. Lin Ji thought that the progress had reached 100%. Now he needed materials for evolution. The system reported that the achievement had been obtained and the rewards credited to the account. Lin Ji was surprised. Had they even given out the materials for evolution? Luo Da suggested they talk. Luo Da asked if Lin Ji wanted to give him credit for defeating the boss. Wang Shuiyan was indignant. How could he say such a thing? After all, it was Lin Jie who had done everything here. Luo Da offered 100,000 for it. Lin Ji thought that since the guild had sent him to complete this task, his evaluation would change if he failed. If he successfully completed it, it would affect his rank and promotion. That's why he was so interested in the outcome of the mission. Money was more important to our hero. He could use it to buy a new pet. However, the young man couldn't agree right away. He decided to wait and see if more favorable terms would be offered. Luo Da noted that he had been saving up for 6 months. Besides, the reward for this task was half as much. The benefit here was obvious. Luo Da added that he would be indebted to this young man. Lin Ji agreed. Lin Ji thought that human feelings were priceless. The protagonist shared his information, and the required amount was transferred to his account. The young men looked up and saw the examiner standing next to a huge beast. Zhu Zhenwen jumped down and approached the mercenaries. Wang Shuiyun was surprised when she noticed the silver badge on this man. Could it be that she had seen the legendary beast lord? Zhenwen said that they had met again. Lin Ji greeted the examiner. Luo Da was surprised. Could this guy really be acquainted with Master He? Zhenwen asked the bronze beast master. His name is Luo Da, isn't it? It seems the task has been successfully completed. Luoda confirmed that he had completed the task. No one was hurt. Zhen Wen thought that this assassin must be at least a 4th rank, but this guy was only 2nd rank. Though he wasn't a genius, he was smarter than Luoda. They must have managed to deal with the monster. Zhen Wen surmised that this was his 2nd mistake. Due to the Masters Association's negligence in assessing the mission, everything led to the mission, originally of medium difficulty, being downgraded to a standard level. He sincerely apologized for this. Such negligence could lead to a loss of trust. Lin Ji replied that it was no big deal. Luo Da had protected them. Wang Xuan thought, could this really be a person of high intelligence? Zhen Wen said that to compensate for the failure of this mission, the association would pay 100,000. In addition, the monster's body must be retrieved for study. Lin Ji said he was willing to be polite and would gladly accept this compensation. Lin Ji decided that this wasn't just compensation, but a payment for his silence. Refusing could cause problems. Zhen Wen thought that this guy hadn't received his 2nd beast yet. He definitely needed the money, so he should invest in him. Lin Ji received a notification that the money had been deposited into his account. Examiner, he took the monster and said he was leaving. Luoda said that this guy had received a full 200,000. Lin Ji added that, on top of that, he had earned the favor of yet another person. Luoda said goodbye and remarked that he would never forget this. Wang Shuiyan hadn't expected to meet 2 talented individuals at once. The day had definitely been well spent. The girl declared that she too must train hard to become stronger. Only then would she be able to become just like Lin Ji and carry out missions with him again. Lin Ji wished her luck and added that they would meet again. The protagonist thought that this money should be enough to buy a B-rank beast. At the pet store, our hero was greeted. The manager asked how she could help. Lin Ji immediately admitted that he wanted to buy a beast. The girl suggested he follow her. The manager led the hero into the showroom. She said that all the exhibits could be found there. The protagonist thought this was an ordinary B-rank pet shop. There was a snake skeleton and mushroom spores. The young man also spotted a blazing devil on display. However, despite its hidden evolution, it was no match for a royal-level pet like the Snow Queen. The manager said that this blazing devil is considered an elite B-class pet. It is very rare and costs only 16 million. Lin Ji remarked that it was too expensive. The girl added that this price included all the materials needed for evolution. Lin Ji said he wanted to look at something else. Snowflake was originally an F-class pet that experts believed couldn't evolve, but the facts show that ratings aren't always accurate. A royal-level beast with hidden evolution had been discovered. It was a stone golem. Lin Ji was surprised. Why did this beast look so familiar? The standard evolutionary path is the giant golem. It enhances strength and defense, grows enormous, and possesses high resistance to most elements. The hidden evolutionary path is the stone god. It follows an ancient evolutionary lineage, revealing the threat of a supernatural deity within the lineage. It possesses the ability to manipulate rocks and soil. The next form is the stone devil. Lin Ji recalled Luo Da and realized why this beast seemed familiar to him. That young man's enormous beast, the stone monster, had evolved from this small creature. But this is merely the ordinary path of evolution. Lin Ji thought that the ice puppet's advantage lay in its explosive power and control, much like a mage's. The manager told the young man to stop hesitating. This stone golem was the choice of many people. It could resist, fight, was easy to evolve, and on top of that, was inexpensive. Lin Ji agreed to purchase this golem for 80,000. The young man added that he needed to buy some materials for evolution and listed them. The manager asked if the customer intended to evolve the stone golem. However, these evolution materials would not allow it to evolve. The girl noted that mid-tier elemental essence was quite expensive. Lin Ji said he wasn't buying it for himself. The young man received the seal pearl. The second beast contract was concluded. Achievement points were awarded. That same evening, the protagonist decided to perform the necessary procedures. The golem needed to be fed. The stone golem currently possessed the first rank of the first level. Lin Ji decided that he first needed to double its growth rate in order to proceed. Rank points were spent, and the stone golem was upgraded to rank 2, level 2. Lin Ji thought this beast looked a bit silly, but who would have thought it possessed a hidden path of divine beast evolution? In the end, the beast ate all the evolution materials to evolve. Lin Ji noticed that there was still some powder left. The golem refused. The young man got angry since he had spent a lot of money buying all of this. Lin Ji threw up his hands. He had a new beast, one that was picky about food. The ice spirit appeared nearby. Linji thought the restoration had gone well. The ice puppet taught the new beast a lesson. The stone golem ended up lying on the floor. The new beast, not wanting to tempt fate, was forced to eat all the powder. The stone golem transformed into a stone demon with enhanced stats. Now it was a second-ranked 9th-level creature. Linji was surprised when he saw what the stone demon was doing. The ice puppet was forced to intervene to cool the stone demon's ardor. To do so, she even had to use an ice shield. Linji was upset. The wall in his house had been damaged. Friendly interaction is good. However, the stone demon doesn't listen to his orders and acts on its own. He'll have to teach it how to behave. The ice spirit had reached the necessary conditions. Linji decided to show who was in charge here. Advanced material for the evolution of the ice crystal was consumed. During the successful evolution, the Snow Maiden appeared. She possessed the 4th rank of the 1st level. The ice arrows were upgraded to Icefall. The ice shield was upgraded to Ice Crystal Mirror. Extreme Cold was upgraded to Blizzard. Linji was impressed. He hadn't even dreamed of such an evolution. The stone demon's eyes flashed, and his feet immediately froze to the ice. Snow Maiden reacted in a flash. The protagonist ordered the Snow Maiden to activate the Icefall. The stone demon found himself exposed to the icy rain. The confrontation was over. The stone demon dropped to his knees and bowed to Snow Maiden. Linji declared if he had signed the contract and become the master, the stone demon must obey him. However, if its nature proved impossible to reform, drastic measures would have to be taken. The protagonist asked the same question again. Was the stone demon willing to submit to him? The new beast bowed to its master. The young man said that was excellent. The door opened and the neighbor walked into the room. He asked if this guy knew what had happened to his walls and why he was banging on them in the middle of the night. Linji apologized. The young man added that he had been training and was ready to pay for the damage. The neighbor said this wasn't even the second time. He would demand compensation for emotional distress. He was looking for at least 30,000. The man added that he expected the money within 3 days. The stone demon stepped in to resolve the matter. He walked over and glared at the man. The stone demon swung his fist, intending to teach the neighbor a lesson for speaking rudely to his master. At the last moment, Linji told the stone demon to stop immediately. The summoned beast's paw stopped near the neighbor's throat. The man was terrified. Could this really be his beast? What kind of monster was this? Linji apologized and noted that his beast was still poorly trained. The young man asked about compensation. The frightened man said he didn't need compensation, since he wasn't that petty. Night fell. Linji, as always, slept in his bed. Snow Maiden slept beside him. The stone demon lay on the floor nearby. And morning came. A phone call woke the young man. Snow Maiden handed him the phone to talk. It was his sister, Guan Aning. She reminded him that today was the entrance exam for the Jiangning Beastmaster Academy. She hurried him along and said she would meet him at the gate. When our hero arrived at the meeting place, Anin was already waiting for him. The other young people were surprised. How could this guy be late for such an important event? He thought too highly of himself. Someone pointed out that this man had passed an extremely difficult test. The teacher was angry. Could it be that Linji had overslept again? Linji noticed that he had been too tired lately. The teacher asked if he had practiced the art of the soul well. Guan Aning stood to the side, watching the conversation between the teacher and the student. The young man was speaking intently, answering questions. The teacher said that all these young people were the elite of Pinghai High School. However, this time, admission to the Beastmaster Academy would undoubtedly be more difficult. She hoped that they would all do their best. The teacher wished them luck and said she was looking forward to good news from them. Everyone present cheered, wishing them luck. The teacher expressed confidence that Linji would become the hope of Pinghai High School. Guan Aning asked what her brother had been up to lately. She had been sending him messages, but he hadn't replied. The young man replied that he had been busy with missions, so he hadn't had time to respond. Aning said that her demon bird had also successfully evolved. Linji said that was wonderful. In that case, there would be no problems with enrollment this time. The young people entered Jiangning City, located on the banks of a large river. Anin leaned against the window and gazed out at the vast, beautiful city. She remarked that it was truly beautiful. Linji blushed with embarrassment. He too was looking at something big and beautiful. Guan Aning caught the young man's gaze. She felt embarrassed and immediately sat back down in her seat. An awkward silence fell. The young people approached the Jiangning Academy of Rulers. The academy building was majestic and enormous. Linji thought he would be willing to give his life to study in this place. The young people parted, 17 students from Chimping High School had arrived to register. Lee Pengyun led them. Tanyan said that 21 students from Kangxia High School had also arrived to register. Standing next to him was Guo Xinyi. Her friend added that Guan Aning was the class monitor, so she shouldn't lose to them. Guan Aning announced that 12 students from Pinghai High School had arrived to register. A young man remarked that they looked like a bunch of country bumpkins. Compared to the cities of Kangxia and Qinping, Pinghai was more remote. Suddenly, one of the teachers appeared before the young people. It was Qin He. He said he was in charge of registering the new arrivals. Qin He first congratulated everyone on passing the exams, but warned the students not to get too excited. The difficulty of the college entrance exams was incomparable to that of the practice exam. The failure rate was 80%. This meant that out of everyone present, only 10 people would be able to pass the exams. Lu Sizi told her friend that they would definitely be eliminated since they had only passed low-level tests. The young man said the girls shouldn't even worry about getting in. They wouldn't make it anyway. Liu Yiqi cursed at the guy and said she hadn't liked him from the start. Tanyan asked his companion who else she thought would make it through. Gu Xinyi pointed to Li Pengyun and said that this guy was very strong. She added that the young man from Pinghai looked very strange. Tanyan asked Gu Xinyi what was wrong. The girl replied that everything was fine. However, she felt that the strength of this guy from Pinghai was simply unfathomable. Tanyan said that it was just a bunch of hicks. Overall, Pinghai School's level was lower than theirs, so there was no need to worry. Kenny announced that everyone would be staying at the hotel on the academy grounds today. He hoped everyone would get some good rest and prepare for the entrance exams over the next few days. The academy cafeteria would provide free meals during the exams. The food there was very tasty and nutritious. Liu Siqi immediately announced that she was already very hungry. Guan Aning also suggested that her brother eat. In the cafeteria, the young people sitting at the next table were discussing Guan Aning and her curvaceous figure. One of the guys said they should speak more quietly so as not to disgrace Qinping School, although this girl really is pretty. Guan Aning kept piling food onto her brother's plate, urging him to eat his fill. Lin Ji replied that he was already quite full. Lao Siqi was surprised. Where did these young people get so much food, and wouldn't they like to share? Zhang Xiaoyun said that the two of them looked very cute, just like a couple. Guan Aning blushed with embarrassment and asked the girls not to say things like that anymore. A boy from Qinping School wondered where this guy had gotten so many girls. Another guy said it was just disgusting. Why was he so popular since he wasn't even handsome? A young man approached our heroes and asked if he could sit next to them. Everyone was fine with it, and the young man took a seat next to them. The young man said he wanted to introduce himself and gave his name, Zhou Xiong. He was from Qinping High School. Xiong said he'd heard there was a high school student in Pinghai City who had passed the highest level exam. The young man asked if that guy had come here. Xiaoyun asked why Xiong was asking about this. The exams hadn't even started yet, and they were already curious and trying to gather information. Cizi added that they weren't going to reveal everything about themselves, so that they wouldn't be easier to defeat later. Zhou Xiong said he just wanted to make friends. For minor characters like them, information was the most important thing. If they wanted to have even the slightest chance of winning the upcoming exams, he was pretty good at this sort of thing. Guan Aning said they had nothing to share, so Zhou Xiong could just leave. The young man told them not to be so hostile toward him. He wasn't bragging, but among this group of exam takers, he knew everything there was to know about each one. Xiong mentioned the head of Qinping School, that's Li Tengyun. He's a well-known local high school prodigy. 2 months ago, he passed a highly difficult certification exam. His pet is a poisonous ivy monster, a third-rank plant type. The girls were surprised. Could it really be third rank? How could a high school student have a third-rank pet? Zhou Xiong added that this guy's family was also well-known. They had provided high-level materials for evolution. Cizi thought he was a genius and a wealthy heir. With their first-rank pets, they definitely wouldn't be able to win. Anin thought about how big the difference was between their pets. She only had a second-rank, 7th-level pet. Zhou Xiong said that Guo Xinyi from Kanghuai City was a problem child. She had only contracted with her pet in her 3rd year of school. It took her just 1 month to pass a highly difficult assessment. Her pet was a second-rank, 8th-level steel lizard. Liu Yiqi was surprised. Is it possible to raise a pet to second-rank, 8th level in just 6 months? Xiaoyun replied that it was possible. When she signed the contract, the pet was already 7th level, 2nd rank. If a person's soul power is high enough, they can contract with stronger pets. Zhu Qiong noted that there was another master in Kanghai City, Tan Yong. He was a young man with a dual-element pet. Anin said that the teacher had mentioned earlier. Some very rare pets possess two elements. These beasts inhabit extremely dangerous areas, and most of them cannot be tamed. Lin Jai thought that his stone demon was a spirit and a stone. This dual element was worth studying. Zhou Xiong finished his story and added that he didn't know anything else. Could they now tell him about the guy who had passed the difficult level? Lin Jai immediately stated that this guy hadn't shown up. Lin Ji apologized and added that the person Xiong was looking for wasn't there. They didn't even know him. Zhou Xiong said that if they didn't want to tell him anything, he wouldn't press the issue. The young man said goodbye and moved to another seat. Zhou Xiong suspected that these young people were hiding something. Most likely, the person in question was one of them. Zhu Yong decided to sit down at another table. The young man said they should check on one of the boys. Liu Yiqi asked why Lin Jie hadn't told the truth, since he had every reason to be proud of it. The protagonist replied that he didn't want to be a show-off. He didn't want them to attract attention too quickly. Besides, they didn't know the reliability of the information provided. Guananin thought her little brother was thinking ahead as usual. She suggested to her friends that they practice tonight. They couldn't afford to lose. Anin asked if her brother would come to their room that evening. Suddenly, one of the students slapped the girl on her soft spot. The young man asked if maybe it would be better if he came with his friends. Guananin spun around and swung her arm, intending to hit the insolent boy. However, the guy grabbed her hand and said she was hot. He liked girls like that. The insolent boy's friends laughed. The girls were outraged by their behavior. Lin Jai sternly told the guy to let go of her hand immediately. Guan Anning thought that if a fight broke out, they would definitely get in trouble. The girl asked her brother to let it go. The bully told his friends that the girls from Pinghai were pretty cute, but their boyfriends were just trash. The protagonist couldn't stand such words. He threw a left hook and sent the insolent guy to the canvas. His friends were outraged. How dare this upstart hit their friend? Lin Jai declared that they could say whatever they wanted about him, but they had no right to insult his sister. There would be no forgiveness for that. The beaten-up guy jumped to his feet and hurled a string of obscenities at the hero. He said he intended to settle things right here and now. Li Pengyun told Xiong to stop immediately and not disgrace them. Pengyun told the hero that the blow was powerful. They could consider themselves even. Lin Jai declared that this wasn't over yet. Li Pengyun told Lin Jai that he would teach the guy a lesson himself. If Lin Jai had any grievances, he could take them out on him. Guan Anning took her brother by the hand and said they were leaving. Lin Jai told his opponents that they would see each other again at the exam. Li Pengyun watched as the young people walked away. The girls said that their little brother was really cool. Li Pengyun surmised that this guy was the very same Lin Jie. Guan Anning was taking a relaxing bath. The girl wondered why her friends had come here. Li Sizi said they wanted to thank her for helping them with their training. Their support had reached the second rank. This was great progress for them. Sizi offered to give her a massage as a way to show their gratitude. Anning told the girls not to touch her. She would handle it herself. The next day, Teacher Chin, he announced that everyone was now assembled. The teacher added that he wanted to share some good news. After analyzing past results, the performance of this year's first group of examinees showed that this group was the worst. Therefore, he didn't expect anything good from them. Those present were surprised. Was this really the good news? Zhong said that Ping High School was holding everyone back. Liu Yiqi declared that this guy had better not cross her path after the exam. The teacher announced that the next exam would take place in the Source Stone realm, with no difficulty level to choose from. The exam would be held in a mysterious forest. Wan, he added that once everyone had calmly entered the space, a score panel would appear on each person's arm. The panel would increase their points depending on which beast they had killed. The teacher added that sometimes they would be hunters, and sometimes prey. If they lost consciousness or died, they would be disqualified. In the very center of the mysterious forest would be a stone pillar displaying the scores and coordinates of the top 10 players. Someone asked, "Are there really third-ranked beasts there? If you encounter them, you could be eliminated immediately." Shin, he added that the competition would last 4 hours. The top 10 would be approved. Li Pengyun asked if it was allowed to kill only beasts. The teacher replied that it was a good question. The winner who eliminated another examinee would receive all of their opponent's points. The students were surprised. Why are the rules so cruel? They encourage us to kill each other. If we team up and hunt other schools, we can definitely make it into the top 10. Tanya noted that any methods could be used. The teacher added that the real battlefield is much harsher. If anyone wants to leave now, they can say so. The winner by points will receive the title of Best Rookie and many privileges after enrollment. The teacher wanted to see which of them would become the king of all rookies. Guan Anning thought it would be great to meet her brother, Lin Ji. Even if she couldn't make it into the top 10, at least she could help him. Lin Ji told his sister that as soon as she entered the space, she should use the Flying Hawk ability to find him as quickly as possible. He urged everyone to calm down. The entry into the space was about to take place. The next moment, our hero found himself in a forest. Now he needed to look around. The young man noticed a stone stele towering above the trees. Lin Ji glanced at his wrist and saw the information displayed. The countdown had begun. The information on his wrist only showed his current points, but there was no way to tell if participants were in the top 10. This meant that anyone who wanted to know their ranking would eventually have to go to the central stone pillar. It was quite likely that in the later stages, this would become the most dangerous area. Most importantly, if you don't approach the stone pillar and update your score, even if you've earned enough points to enter the top 10, your coordinates will be displayed anew. This will attract other players. Lin Ji thought that the real purpose of this exam was to let players fight each other. As long as a player is strong enough, all the rules can be ignored. No one can take points away from the strong. The young man understood that this was just a game, so the fun was only just beginning. A two-headed forest python, a first-ranked 9th-level beast, appeared from behind the trees. Lin Ji activated his defensive sphere and became out of reach for the monster. For safety's sake, our hero decided to maintain his soul defense at all times. In any case, it wouldn't take much energy. The stone demon was summoned and special control and defense functions were assigned to it. Lin Ji decided to temporarily conceal his power and test the stone demon's strength. It was worth examining its dual attributes. The stone demon performed magnificently. The two-headed forest python was neutralized and a knot appeared on its body. Lin Ji told the stone demon not to pursue this python. It was worth only 10 points. It was more efficient to deal with high-level monsters. The protagonist decided it would be better to challenge more powerful beasts. The young man wondered if his sister would be able to find him. He hoped that everything would go well for Guan Anning. The girl was indeed fighting the forest monsters effectively. A huge insect monster was destroyed and set ablaze. The girl glanced at her wrist. Only 15 minutes had passed. There was still plenty of time. Guan Anning ordered the Firehawk to fly ahead. She wanted to find her brother, Lin Ji, as quickly as possible. Many participants were unable to complete the task and were forced to retreat from the monsters chasing them. The Firehawk had returned. Guan Anning thought the beast didn't have the ability to stray so far. The distance from its master was too great. Anning realized she would have to go on her own. Guan Anning decided to approach the stone stele to check her brother's coordinates. After all, he was definitely in the top 10. Suddenly, Guan Anning was attacked by a forest monster. At the last moment, the girl managed to jump up and dodge the attack. The monster rushed past. Anning thought that the beast depicted on the stone stele was a second-rank 5th-level golden scorpion hawk. It would be no match for her second-rank 7th-level hawk. The Firehawk attacked the monster and effectively destroyed it. 20 points were earned with ease. Suddenly, Oda emerged from the forest. He was a human race savage, a second-rank 4th-level warrior. One of the participants followed behind him. Yu said it was just a coincidence. Anning was outraged. Didn't this guy think it was despicable to steal other people's points? The young man replied that the rules didn't forbid it. He added that he wouldn't just steal her points, but also finish off her stupid bird. And he'd deal with the girl too. Anning screamed for the Firehawk to dodge the enemy's attack. The girl noticed that she was being attacked too. Shu grabbed Guan Anning, covered her mouth with his hand, and said she was dodging well. However, now she wouldn't be able to give orders to the Firehawk. Shu declared that humanoid beasts had a major advantage: greater intelligence. They could act of their own free will. The savage Oda managed to grab the Firehawk by its wings. Shu declared that before getting rid of this girl, he wanted to have some fun with her. Lin Ji looked at his wrist. He already had 40 points. Half an hour had passed. The stone demon was dealing with yet another monster. Joshung appeared in the clearing. He was with his strange summoned beast, which had grabbed a giant second-rank, 4th-level monkey. The summoned beast was a creature called Terrible Snout, Oddity. It possessed second-rank, 7th level. Jo-young had already earned 60 points. The young man knew he couldn't afford to let his guard down. Lin Ji greeted Joshung. The guy recognized him. After all, they had already met in the cafeteria. Lin Ji thought that this guy didn't know who he was yet. However, he knew a lot of useful information. He had to try to make use of that. Zhou Xiong looked at the stone demon and said it looked really cool. It was definitely a rare beast. But why hadn't he seen anything like this before? Zhou Xiong thought that the person in front of him wasn't Lin Ji. Based on the available information, Lin Ji uses an ice beast. The protagonist said that his pet was completely ordinary. Lin Ji added that it was just an ordinary D-rank beast that had only reached the second stage. Zhou Xiong suggested taking a look at his beast, the terrifying snout. It was a rare beast, and it had already reached the second rank, 7th level. Lin Ji said that was really cool. Zhou Xiong said that since fate had brought them together here in the forest, he wanted to help this guy with glasses. Lin Ji said that was wonderful. Zhou Xiong decided he would help the young man level up and then finish him off. Guan Anning effectively knocked her opponent to the ground. A hand-to-hand combat skill was used. Guan Anning said that last time, her brother had beaten her to it. Surely this scoundrel didn't think she'd let him off that easily now. A monster appeared out of nowhere. The savage Oda was attacked. A huge monster flew over Shu's summoned beast, striking fear into it. Yu shouted for Oda to help him. However, the savage turned and ran into the forest. Guan Anning told her rival that his pet had a mind of its own, and that this wouldn't lead to anything good. Shu declared that he had one last request: don't hit him where her brother had hit her. The girl took out her opponent, earning her 70 extra points. Teacher Qin, he looked at the stone steely, assessed the leaders, and thought that this group of examinees was much better than he had expected. In less than an hour, some had scored over 100 points. A spotted tiger, a 3rd rank, 1st level wild beast, appeared before Li Pengyun. The young man's summoned beast was a poison ivy fairy, a 3rd rank, 3rd level plant. The spotted tiger swallowed the ivy in one gulp and began to chew it. Li Pengyun silently watched his summoned beast devour its prey. Then the young man told the ivy to stop fooling around. It was time to look for the next victim. After a while, the spotted tiger's fur changed color. It began to act unnaturally, and its condition deteriorated significantly. The tiger fell to the ground and was deactivated. The poison ivy fairy burst out through the beast's body. The ivy rose above the monster and prepared to attack. The spotted tiger screamed in fear, but the ivy clung to its body with its tendrils and began to devour it. Li Pengyun looked at his wrist and noted that he had 210 points. Pengyun said that the top spot among the newcomers would belong to him and him alone. Tan Yun told his companion that she was already in 2nd place, as expected. Gu Xinyi replied that the guy had given her all the beasts and he himself had 0 points. Was everything really okay? Tan Yun declared that he would deal with some of the participants later. Gu Xinyi asked who they would start with. Tan Yun said he was interested in a guy named Li Pengyun, but it was too early to deal with him. Gu Xinyi reminded him that there was a brilliant young man named Lin Jie. But why doesn't she see his name? Tan Yun suggested that this guy had used some means to create a stir, but in reality, he was nothing special. We need to find Guan Anning. She's not far away. Guan Anning was heading toward the stone stele to find her brother's coordinates. Anning thought that to her left was a wind-blown butterfly, and to her right, a man-eating flower. Guan Anning grew sad again. Where was her brother now? Where should she go? Lin Ji and Zhou Xiong, accompanied by their summoned beasts, were moving through the forest together. A monster appeared before the young people, a tree spirit, a 2nd rank, 4th level plant creature. Zhou Xiong said he would leave this monster for his companion. Once Lin Ji was almost done fighting it, he could finish it off and claim the points. The tree spirit was destroyed. The stone demon didn't give it a chance. Lin Ji walked over and assessed the quality of the work. Everything had been executed at the highest level. Master Qian, he thought about the young man who had passed the extremely difficult trials. In less than 2 hours, Lin Ji had risen from 33rd place to 9th. Apparently, he really did have talent. Xin He noticed that this guy had joined a team. Zhou Xiong expressed his surprise. He hadn't expected Lin Ji to finish off the forest ghost so quickly. The protagonist realized that the exam was tied to their promotion, so every time he attacked, he made his pet fight with all its might. If Zhou Xiong wanted to earn points, he could take down the next monster himself. Zhou Xiong thought his companion was very arrogant. It would be interesting to see how he behaved from here on out. A rare beast came into our hero's view. The young man decided that now he would be able to earn more points. A huge monster, a golden tree, appeared in the clearing before the young men. An additional reward was promised for it. Suddenly, the young men were attacked. The roots of the golden tree burst from the ground, and Zhou Xiong found himself trapped by them. Lin Ji managed to jump out of the way. Zhou Xiong found himself hanging upside down. The young man screamed and called for help. The golden withered beast was a third-rank, 9th-level creature. Zhou Xiong shouted for his summoned beast to help him. However, the big-mouthed one also found itself trapped by the golden tree. Zhou Xiong screamed that this monster was draining his energy. The young man asked his companion for help. Our hero reminded him that they had agreed, 1 monster each. Zhou noted that the situation had gotten out of control. They definitely needed to join forces to destroy this monster. Lin Jie turned around and headed into the forest. He said that Zhou Xiong shouldn't let his guard down. Everyone knows he can handle this monster on his own. Zhou Xiong shouted that he couldn't handle it alone. He begged his companion to help. Lin Jie said he was willing to help. But what would he get in return? Zhou Xiong was furious. He thought this guy should be eliminated the moment he was freed. The captive claimed he knew secrets about others and could share them. Lin Jie said he was ready to hear these secrets right now. Zhu Yong said he knew the special skills of Li Pingyun and Guo Xinyi. Lin Jie thought it might be some kind of enhancement. Indeed, this could be important information. The protagonist summoned the stone demon. Lin Jie told the stone demon to use a crushing strike and aim for the abdomen. The stone demon charged and pounced on the golden tree. However, the attack was neutralized, and as a result, the stone demon was also captured. Its body was entangled by the branches of the golden tree. Lin Jie thought that this 9th-level, 2nd-rank stone demon was still having a hard time with the 9th-level, 3rd-rank golden withered beast. The stone demon couldn't break free. The protagonist decided he would have to call on Snow Maiden for help. Lin Jie shouted, "Could it be that he could see everything the stone demon was capable of?" Zhou Xiong was terrified when he saw that the golden tree monster was about to swallow the stone demon. Xin He glanced at the timer. There were just under 2 hours left, and 27 participants remaining. The teacher thought that this Lin Jie was truly powerful. Suddenly, the stone demon changed its appearance. A notification appeared stating that a new ability had been unlocked. Ghost form. Zhou Xiong was surprised. What on earth was this? The protagonist thought that the dual stats were very useful. How strong was the stone demon in its ghost form? The golden tree began to act more aggressively upon seeing its transformed opponent. The roots of the golden tree pierced right through the body of the stone demon in ghost form. The golden tree phantom triumphantly celebrated its victory. However, the stone demon in phantom form remained standing. The protagonist surmised that in this form, the stone demon could evade all physical damage and control. New skills appeared: stone projectile, shatter strike, and earth spike. The young man told the stone demon to use stone projectile, aiming for the eyes and stomach. The stone demon broke free from the ghost roots and attacked it with stone projectiles. The golden tree was deactivated and fell to the ground. The branches weakened, and Zhou Xiong and his beast fell to the ground. They were free. Lin Jie thought the gap was too wide. To deal with this monster, that amount of damage wouldn't be enough. Lin Jie told Zhou Xiong to get out of there as fast as he could. He didn't have to ask twice. Big Mouth grabbed his master, and they fled the clearing. Zhou Xiong was upset. If this guy died here, all his points would be wasted. Once our hero was alone, he summoned Snow Maiden for help. Snow Maiden activated her unique abilities and immediately froze the golden tree at its base. The stone demon used a shattering strike. After that, the stone demon's ghost form was activated. The golden tree monster began to crumble. The protagonist decided that wasn't enough and charged at the monster himself. As a result of these actions, the monster was destroyed and shattered into pieces. Lin Jie noticed that after this victory, the stone demon had risen to the 3rd rank. The young man decided to study the new ability more closely. After splitting, the phantom form doubles combat power, and the path to the royal level is now open. Master Shin, he particularly appreciated the ice pet, as it possessed divine potential. Where did this pet come from for Lin Jie? The protagonist realized that a rare 3rd-rank beast adds 60 points. He couldn't remain so modest now. Zhou Xiong reappeared in the clearing. The young man was surprised. What was going on here? Could the golden withered tree really have been destroyed? Zhou Xiong asked, could this guy really have defeated such a monster? Zhou Yong saw Snow Maiden and asked who she was and which school she attended. The protagonist had forgotten to recall Snow Maiden, so he had to improvise. He claimed he didn't know her. Zhou Xiong surmised that she was also an ice beast in human form. Could she have defeated the golden tree? Zhou Xiong continued to ponder and surmised that this girl might also be a pet. Could her owner be nearby? If she's an ice element, then her master might be Lin Ji. If he was able to defeat the golden tree, then his power is definitely greater than anyone else here. Lin Jai told Snow Maiden to pretend she was about to attack them. Joshung got scared and said that the girl was looking at them suspiciously. Snow Maiden did indeed attack the young people with an icy rain. Joshung was even more frightened. Were they really under attack? He immediately hid behind the big-mouthed guy and decided that his end had come. It was clear from her appearance that the icy girl was in an aggressive mood. Joshung decided he wasn't going to die here alongside this guy. He'd rather finish him off and then run away. Joshung decided that his big-mouthed one should devour this guy, but he said it was for his own protection. Lin Jie told Snow Maiden that she could go back. He was fine. The stone demon received the same information. Joshung felt like a winner, for not only had he evaded pursuit, but he had also earned points from this guy. Lin Jai, inside the summoned beast, asked its master if the danger had passed. Could they let him out now? Joshung said it wasn't time yet. The monster was still chasing them, so the guy had to stay inside. Xiong didn't understand why this person was still okay. After all, he should have been devoured. Suddenly, the big-mouthed creature opened its jaws and Lin Ji tumbled out. Joshung was surprised. How did this guy manage to get out? Lin Jie asked, what's the big deal? Lin Jie pointed out that if the monster continued the chase, the two of them could team up and finish it off. Our hero looked around and said that no one was chasing them. Maybe now Joshung would talk about the art of the soul. Joshung suggested they first go to the Stone Steely. He wanted to check if they had made it into the top 10, and then they would talk about everything. On the way, Joe explained, the special art of the soul is a unique art that awakens in only a few talented beastmasters. It cannot be learned from books, and other people cannot learn it either. It all depends on the beastmaster's physique. However, because this art is so rare, ordinary teachers do not teach it. Linja asked, what special spiritual arts do Gu Xinyi and Li Pengyun possess? Joshung glanced at the scoreboard and saw that his name wasn't there. The young man thought he still had a chance. There was still a whole hour left. 10th place had only 100 points. If he added this guy's points to his own, then he could definitely take 10th place. Joshung saw the number of points on his companion's wrist, 180. The young man was surprised. Had this guy really earned that many points? That many points would help him break into the top ranks. Joshung looked at the Stone Steely and saw that the participant named Lin Jie had that many points. Joshung was surprised. Could it really be that Lin Jie had been following him? The boy remembered that those who had passed the ultra-difficult level could have 2 pets. So Lin Jie had been hiding his strength the whole time. It turned out the ice pet was his too. Lin Jie had simply been following him the entire way. Lin Jie said that Joshung shouldn't forget. If it weren't for him, the golden tree monster would have destroyed this guy long ago. Joshung got angry and ordered his big mouth to deal with this guy immediately. However, Snow Maiden intervened, and Joshung's summoned beast was frozen solid in an instant. Joshung was frightened, stumbled backward, and fell to the ground. Linja said that even though this guy didn't have many points, they were equivalent to a rare third-rank ferocious beast, so they would have to take them. Chu Kyung shouted for Linji not to do that. He was ready to tell everything. The protagonist said he had changed his mind. He didn't care at all what kind of soul art those participants had. Our hero added that he didn't see those participants as rivals. However, our hero didn't have time to do anything. Participant Li Pengyun's summoned beast pierced Joshung's body right through. His master said he had been waiting for a contestant named Lin Jie. Shukung told the leader to be careful. This guy has a beast with the ice element. Our hero hadn't expected to run into this guy here and now. It seems the debt he owed earlier can now be considered paid off. Li Pengyun said that Joshung could now rest. Joshung said that was just wonderful, since the squad leader, Li Pengyun, had taken all his points. Pengyun said he wanted to see Lin Ji's true strength. He was curious to see who was worthy of becoming the leader. Lin Ji replied that he wasn't interested in the title of rookie leader. He could give it to his opponent. Li Pengyun laughed loudly. Was this guy really admitting defeat? The young man added that after he dealt with Lin Ji, he would eliminate everyone in the rankings. He had no intention of leaving anyone alive. Suddenly, Li Pengyun began to lose control. A sense of oppression had been triggered. Lin Ji realized that Guan Aning was in danger right now. She was in the same place as Tan Yun and Guo Xinyi. Our hero turned around and dashed sharply toward the east. Li Pengyun was surprised. Was this guy really running away? The young man ordered his beast to catch up to this participant. The summoned beast caught up to the stone demon and wrapped its tentacles around him. Lin Ji activated a protective sphere and became untouchable. However, the phantom beast wrapped its tentacles around the entire protective sphere. Li Pingyun ordered the poisonous spirit to destroy this guy. The protagonist told his opponent that he had no time for these games. Behind Li Pingyun, the Snow Maiden appeared. At that very moment, Li Pingyun was frozen and completely covered in ice. Snow Maiden did the same to the summoned beast. The stone demon struck, and the frozen beast fell apart. The protagonist repeated that he had no time for these games. He turned and ran east in search of Guan Anning. After a while, the ice melted. The shattered remains of the summoned beast lay on the grass. A participant who appeared said that the beast's body was sturdy, so it hadn't died. Liu Gang said that this was true natural selection. This guy hadn't been able to retreat, which was a great opportunity. Liu Gang said that Li Pingyun's points would now belong to him. Liu Gang ordered his beast, a 9th-level 2nd-rank iron-armored dragon, to attack Li Pingyun. Liu Gang thought that this guy's beast might be able to revive, but would Li Pingyun be able to do the same? Liu Gang thought he would take the crown from the former champion. The iron-armored dragon attacked his frozen opponent. Liu Gang looked at his wrist and was surprised. Why hadn't his score increased? Liu Gang looked back and was immediately attacked. He was surprised to see that this guy's summoned beast had turned into him. Liu Gang wondered, how was that possible? Li Pingyun, in the form of a beast, declared that he was unbeatable, for this was his special technique, synchronization. Liu Gang shouted for the dragon to attack his opponents. However, the dragon was destroyed by Li Pingyun's summoned beast. At that moment, the protagonist rushed to his sister's aid. He knew that if those two so much as laid a finger on her, they would be destroyed. Guan Anning was still trapped within the sphere. Tan Yun and Guo Xinyi were trying to control her. The dragon cub, a 2nd-rank 8th-level beast, approached the girl. Guan Anning couldn't escape this trap and decided it was better not to waste her strength. Tan Yun's summoned beast was an undead mage, a 3rd-rank, 2nd-level spirit with the water element. Tan Yun said that the girl wouldn't be able to pierce the undead mage's water bubble. Tan Yun turned to his companion and told her that he was counting on her. If Guo Xinyi took the girl's points, she would have a chance to become the leader of the rookies. Xinyi was surprised. Could it be that this girl was too attractive for Tan Yun to handle on his own? Guo Xinyi said there was no need to rush, and that it would be better to wait a little before attacking. Tan Yun was surprised. Why do that? Guo Xinyi suggested waiting until a stronger opponent appeared. Suddenly, Tan Yun was attacked, but he managed to defend himself with a water barrier. The protagonist appeared in the clearing with his summoned beasts. The young man strongly recommended releasing Guan Anning. Guo Xinyi and Tan Yun were surprised. Could this guy really have 2 beasts? Anning told her brother that these two were very strong and that they needed to be careful. Lin Ji replied that there was no need to worry, he would free his sister. Tan Yun asked the young man, could he really be Lin Ji, that very legendary boy? Guo Xinyi noted that she had a reason for feeling that this young man was different from the others. Tan Yun suggested testing just how strong this guy was. Guo Xinyi warned him to be careful. The opponent wasn't so simple. Tan Yun said that if he defeated the opponent and Xinyi took the points, she would definitely become the leader. But if he lost, she would take his points. Tan Yun ordered his beast, the necromancer, to grab the guy. Lin Ji, with the help of Snow Maiden, activated an icy shield around himself. Tan Yun was surprised. Where did this guy get such powerful abilities? A stone demon appeared before his opponent, ready to attack. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a fountain of water sent the stone demon flying high into the air. Lin Ji activated his transformation skill, and the stone demon turned into a ghost. Tan Yun noted that his beast also possessed 2 elements and was invulnerable to physical attacks. Guo Xinyi shouted for her companion to watch the rear. Tan Yun was indeed attacked from behind. He nearly lost his balance and was forced to jump aside. Lin Ji noted that, unfortunately, this guy had no immunity to physical damage. Tan Yun lost his footing and fell to the ground. Tan Yun was enraged and activated the undead seal. The guy's undead form stepped in to protect its master, preventing a negative outcome. Lin Ji assumed that Snow Maiden wouldn't have to intervene. The young man told the stone demon to return to its normal state, otherwise the mage might overpower it. Tan Yun laughed and admitted that his opponent was indeed a genius, but that it didn't matter. Lin Ji demanded that his rival shut up immediately and declared that he would now show his true power. Lin Ji ordered Snow Maiden to activate her unique ability, the Ice Explosion. Guo Xinyi thought that they were definitely no match for this guy, and they could certainly lose. The girl told Lin Ji not to take any action, since they could still come to an agreement. Guo Xinyi explained that they had already made it into the top 10, and there was no need to fight each other. Besides, they were classmates. Linjai gave no reply. Snow Maiden had been on standby the whole time. Gu Xinyi told Tanyun to release the captive immediately. Tanyun objected, saying that if he released her, they might attack together. Gu Xinyi ordered him to do as she said. Tanyun replied that he would obey. The water barrier was deactivated. The water bubble burst, and Guan Anning was set free. Anning ran to her brother and thanked him for saving her. Linji told the girl not to worry. As long as he was there, no one would harm her sister. The protagonist told his opponents that he could destroy them for harming his sister, but this time he would spare them. Now they could simply apologize. Tanyun was outraged and shouted that this guy was a real scoundrel. Gu Xinyi told Tanyun to calm down and added that she possessed an exclusive soul technique. She could use the skill to help unlock new techniques. Linjai noted that this was pretty good. Tanyun asked Xinyi not to help these people. Tanyun thought, could it be that Xinyi had decided to betray him? Li Pengyun emerged from the forest onto the clearing, accompanied by his summoned beast. He asked, have you all forgotten about me? Linji was surprised. Is this guy still alive? Pengyun was delighted and said that since all these people had already gathered here, he could wipe them all out in one fell swoop. Tanyun got angry and declared that all this was infuriating him. Why were they showing up here one after another? Gu Xinyi said they could team up and take first place from Li Pengyun. Linjie realized the situation had changed. There were 10 minutes left until the end. The protagonist wanted to leave them behind, but if they started fighting, he would lose his talents. Teacher Chin, he announced that the participants could leave. They had only 10 minutes to do so. Tan Yun asked if Xinyi really wanted to help this guy. He added that he could use a technique to take control of them and then take all their points. Xinyi apologized and said she really wanted to help this guy. Tan Yun was devastated. Had Gu Xinyi fallen in love with this guy? Li Pengyun ordered his beast to attack these people. Unexpectedly, an order came for everyone to stop. There was no longer any need to fight each other. They had all been registered. However, a special mission would soon appear. A portal appeared at the edge of the clearing. People emerged from the portal. The teacher announced, given that these participants' strength far surpasses that of their peers, we must now test their limits. The 4 students who appeared were second-year students. They rank in the middle of the academy. If they successfully pass the test, the participants will receive a one-time purification ritual. If they lose, they will still keep their spots. Guan Anning said that this was unfair. How could they possibly defeat second-year students? Besides, they had already been through many battles and their beasts were exhausted. Linjai beckoned to their opponents and said he agreed. Li Pengyun expressed regret, but noted that if these participants couldn't be eliminated, at least they would be able to compete. Tan Yun suggested discussing everything after they defeated the second-year students. Gu Xinyi asked the protagonist, does that mean we can consider ourselves allies now? Guan Anning shouted that her brother hadn't promised this girl anything. Linjia thought they needed to claim the trial prize, as it would help them level up. However, 4 opponents had been sent, even though there were now 5 of them. Apparently, the newcomers were being underestimated. Linji said that if Xinyi wanted to form an alliance, she would be on the same team as his sister. Each of the girls declared that she wanted to be with Linjie. Linji told his sister that he would fight one of the opponents himself. If the girls attacked together, they would have a better chance of winning. Xing Tao, a representative of the opponents, asked who would fight him. Tan Yun declared that he wanted to fight. He thought it was time to prove his strength to Gu Xinyi. Xing Tao praised the brave man, but noted that bravery alone wouldn't help. He summoned his insect beast, a mantis with a 3rd rank, 8th level status. Zhang Man turned to Li Pengyun and told the handsome man to choose her. Li Pengyun laughed and said he wasn't going to spare anyone. Zhang Man summoned her beast, a thunder lion, a 3rd rank, 9th level beast. Zhang Man said that was just fine. Her opponent could try her best to inflict as much pain on her as possible. Gu Xinyi noticed that only 2 remained. She pointed at her opponent and said that girl looked weak. Wu Zetian asked Lin Ji if he wanted to fight. The young man added that he didn't like this guy's hairstyle. Lin Jai agreed and asked his opponent to go easy on him. A girl approached Guan Anning and Guo Xinyi and said that these 2 newcomers looked cute. It was Hui Hui. She added that she couldn't stand girls who looked prettier than her, so she wouldn't go easy on anyone. Many contestants returned to teacher Qin He. Liu Siqi, with tears in her eyes, told her friend that they had been eliminated. Zhang Xiaoyun pointed out that many days had already passed, and they would have been eliminated anyway. The students regretted how they could have messed up so badly. Xu, rubbing his bruised spot, said that everything hurt. Xian, he thought that among these kids there were only a few standout personalities. Gao Wenbai turned to his colleague and asked him to conduct the next test. Qin was surprised. Had teacher Gao really come for the students so quickly? He had to work very hard to select them. Gao Wenbai remarked that his colleague's methods were too extreme. He usually missed out on a few talented people. Gao added that he had extra spots available, and it would be wise to select a few students from those who had been eliminated. Gao Wenbai announced that those who didn't make the top 10 would now hear some good news. There were 10 more spots available. Those who successfully passed his test would be accepted. The girls decided that miracles do happen after all. This time they need to try their best to make it into the top 20. The contestant decided that now he would definitely hold on and not lose. The battle with the sophomores continued. Their superiority in skill was obvious. Shinto said that his opponent had lost. Zhang Man turned to the defeated opponent and noted that he had shown remarkable endurance. But there was no point in continuing now. Zhang Man was surprised. Hadn't the opponent figured it out yet? Wu Zetian declared that there could be no new geniuses here. The academy was full of people like these. Her summoned beast was a frenzied warrior, a third-rank, 7th-level human. Wu Zetian urged the newcomers to spend their time training. Gao said he was against such methods. Such behavior deprived them of the incentive to develop further. Qin remarked that he wanted to knock these students off their high horse. Otherwise, no one would achieve anything. They would consider themselves the coolest. Gao laughed and noted that one was still resisting. One of the sophomores summoned a fierce warhorse, a third-rank 9th-level wild beast to his aid. However, his horse was frozen. The sophomore couldn't believe what was happening. How was this possible? Linjai told his opponent that he was ready to concede. Qin laughed and noted that this time, his method had definitely worked. They had seen quite a few geniuses, but this guy seemed to embody the 18 great beastmasters. Qin added that it excited him. Master Gao noted that even masters his age didn't possess such powers. The student's name is Lin Jie. He needs to be transferred to his group. Qin asked if Master Gao wasn't rushing things, since the assignment of students to groups must follow the rules. A system notification arrived stating that the fire horse had been defeated. The second-year student reported that he had lost. Guan Aning told her little brother that they had won. Guo Xinyi hadn't expected this guy to be so strong. Tan Yun fell to his knees and admitted that there was a huge gap between them. He decided to turn his sorrow into motivation. The leader of the sophomores asked if Wu Zetian really hadn't given in. A newcomer who hadn't even enrolled in the academy yet had already beaten the sophomores. It was hard to believe. Linji asked the sophomores, did they really want to continue? The commander replied that the young man shouldn't think he could now look down on them. Linji suggested that all 3 of them take him on. The second-year student's leader said the boy was arrogant and ordered his insect beast to attack the stone demon. Teacher Gao admitted that this guy was truly in a league of his own. If they continued in this vein, the second-year student's reputation would suffer significantly. Qin announced that the testing was complete. The students could stop. The only one who passed the trials was Lin Ji. The others had also performed quite well, and after enrolling in the academy, their abilities would grow rapidly. The leader of the second-year students began to threaten the hero. Once he graduates from the academy, he'll settle the score with him. Linji said there was no point in competing anymore, since he could see that this second-year student was truly strong. The teacher announced that it was now time for the rewards. Our hero's physique had been enhanced, and his spirit had also been boosted. Qin congratulated the protagonist and announced that Linji had successfully enrolled in the academy. Linji returned to the other students. The young people were amazed. Who was he? Could this really be the one who had passed the ultra-difficult level? Gishinyi suggested that this guy's spirit had another form. Linji was surprised. Really? The girl said she could explain how to activate the exclusive skill. If Linji came to see her after the exam, she would explain everything in detail. Teacher Qin called for silence and announced that the top 10 would be admitted to the academy immediately. He announced the leader among the newcomers. It was Li Pengyun. The students were surprised. Why was this particular graduate the winner? Li Pengyun considered this a real insult, since that guy turned out to be stronger than him. Teacher Gao pointed out that he wasn't the one who should have taken first place. Was that fair? Qin emphasized that one person shouldn't bear all the responsibility. The rules of the trial determine the winner based on points. Gao Wenbai said that those who would participate in the retest should follow him. Guan Aning reassured her friends. Everything would be all right. They would definitely make it through. Zhou Xiong approached the hero again and greeted him. Zhou Xiong admitted that he hadn't realized this guy's name was Lin Ji. Apparently, his intel had been wrong, but he'd just seen Lin Ji stand up to the sophomores. It was impressive. Lin Ji asked what Zhou Xiong wanted from him. Zhou Xiong asked him to take him on as a disciple. The young man added that his respect for his mentor would be unwavering and unyielding. The protagonist said that he didn't take on apprentices, and that this guy wasn't eligible to enroll yet. Zhou Xiong shouted that he would definitely enroll. He just needed to wait a little while. Guan Anning noted that her little brother had achieved an excellent result. To celebrate passing the test and becoming official students, she suggested they go out and have some fun in the city today. Lin Ji remarked that after 4 hours of exams, he was very tired and needed a good rest. Guan Anning suggested they return tomorrow, but that they would stay in town for the night anyway. Her brother agreed. Guan Anning suggested they start by having a proper meal. The young people visited a premium-class restaurant. Here it was permitted to dine alongside the beasts. Anning mentioned that she had wanted to come here for a long time. The girl suggested calling the pets over, since they had fought and deserved a good meal too. Lin Ji agreed again. His sister noted that last time, Snow Maiden didn't look like a girl, so she had evolved. How had Lin Ji done that? The young man suggested that the bond between them might have grown stronger. He decided to explain the system later, when he had the time and opportunity. Guan Anning, after studying the menu, declared that it was time to order. The menu included braised red lamb, charcoal grilled octopus, and braised dragon scales. The protagonist paid more attention to the cost of the dishes. The stone demon was looking forward to a delicious meal. Snow Maiden and Firehawk were also up for dinner. The waitress asked if the young people had chosen anything. Guan Anning placed the order. 5 minutes later, all the ordered dishes were already on the table. A few minutes later, all the dishes had been eaten. The summoned beasts were full and satisfied. The protagonist didn't know what to do. He even considered running away. He didn't have enough money to pay the bill. The waitress brought the bill and asked how the young man intended to pay. Guan Anning told her brother that she would cover the bill. She had saved up money for such an occasion, and the protagonist realized he was saved. Anning admitted that the city was very beautiful at night. She added that just thinking about the fact that they would now be studying in such a big city gave her goosebumps all over. Lin Ji decided he needed to find a way to make money and take on some kind of job. The young people heard shouts coming from inside the building. Someone said it was a great blow. This building housed the Arena of Doom. Fistfights were held in this place. In the current fight, a 4-armed monster had emerged victorious. The 4-armed monster was an anomaly and possessed a 3rd-rank, 2nd-level status. The host announced that whoever defeated this monster would take all the money from the prize pool. Was anyone willing to challenge it? Lin Ji thought that he only needed to pay 300 coins for entry to earn the right to participate in the fight. The winner would receive 50,000. This was a way to make money. Local rules prohibit the use of any soul magic or spells. Only fair fistfights so that spectators can enjoy a real brawl. Before entering the arena, one must sign a waiver. If a pet accidentally destroys another's pet during the fight, no one is held responsible. Lin Ji asked his sister if she wanted to watch. The girl was surprised. Could it be that her brother was inviting her to participate? Lin Ji said that if the organizers wanted to just give away money, he'd gladly take it. The guy figured that, judging by the system, this monster was a 3rd-rank, 2nd-level creature. It would be better to level up a 2nd-rank, 9th-level stone beast to 3rd-rank, 3rd level. The protagonist performed the necessary actions, infusing the stone monster with a sufficient amount of power. The stone spirit became a 3rd-rank, 3rd-level creature. It took quite a few points to do this. Guan Anning was surprised. Had the stone demon really risen in rank? Lin Ji said it was because he had recently eaten a hearty meal. Anning proudly declared that she believed in her little brother. Lin Ji knew what he was doing. The host announced the 4-armed monster's new opponent and asked the audience to cheer for this guy. He reported that it was a young man with an unremarkable appearance. Next to him was a stone man whom the audience had never seen before. The host wondered how this guy dared to participate. The audience remarked that this stone man was just a worthless, red-haired scum. The 4-armed anomaly monster laughed loudly and approached the stone demon. The anomaly's master, Xianggu, approached our hero and said that if he were to die at the hands of the anomaly, he shouldn't blame him. Lin Ji asked his opponent to give it his all. Xianggu remarked that this guy clearly didn't value his own life at all. The host announced that it was time to sign the contract of life and death. The opponents sealed the agreement with their fingerprints. The host shouted that the competition was beginning. Zheng told the four-armed monster to show the opponents who was the strongest here. The monster attacked, but the stone demon effectively dodged the blow. The protagonist thought that the anomaly had decent speed. The four-armed monster grabbed the stone demon and began to stretch it, holding it by its limbs. The monster flung the stone demon aside and it flew forward, crashing onto the arena. The stone demon crashed onto the arena and partially crumbled. Xianggu noticed that even though his monster couldn't use skills, it was unmatched in raw strength. Linjai thought just as expected. The rules favor the four-armed one. No wonder he's so confident. The four-armed monster continued to advance and pressed down on the stone demon. The stone demon was deactivated and fell to the ground. Xianggu was surprised. Was that all there was to it? The spectators said that the four-armed monster, as always, had been magnificent. Linji thought if skills were allowed, the stone spirit would have torn him apart long ago. Unfortunately, the rules don't permit that. If he relied solely on strength, his beast would certainly be no match for the monster. Linji recalled the words Gu Xinyi had spoken to him. If that was true, it was worth the risk. Last time, the stone demon had unlocked a new form in a critical situation. Now, either he would unlock a new form, or he would be crushed by the four-armed monster. Linji said he wanted to see what the stone demon was capable of. Was he really going to continue relying solely on Snow Maiden's strength? After hearing these words, the stone demon leaped to his feet. He kicked the four-armed monster in the chest and sent it flying to the side. The demon general form had been unlocked. Linji thought, what a surprise. It turns out the stone armor attached to his body can be activated depending on the situation on the battlefield. The demon general began to attack the four-armed monster relentlessly. The monster tried to counterattack, but the demon general vanished instantly. Xianggu still didn't understand what had just happened. The demon general appeared behind his opponent and resumed beating him. The four-armed monster was unable to put up a fight. The anomalous monster retreated into a defensive stance, trying to shield himself from the blows raining down on him. 10 seconds remained. The young man shouted for the demon to stop messing around and finish it quickly. The four-armed monster was deactivated. The stone demon was promoted to the 3rd rank of the 4th level. Lightning Ram in the form of a demon general was unlocked. Xianggu shouted that this couldn't be happening. Tears streamed down his cheeks. The host said he was ready to announce the winner. The audience was baffled. What had just happened? The four-armed monster was declared the winner. Linji couldn't believe his ears. It was obvious to the audience that the four-armed monster had lost. What was going on? The host announced that this guy had used skills, even though they were forbidden. Due to the use of skills, the contestant is eliminated. The audience agreed that guy's beast had changed form. But that's just taking off armor. It doesn't count as magic. Guan Aning shouted that it was unfair. Xianggu said that this guy wouldn't be able to take the money by using tricks. The protagonist suggested, if he lost the battle between the beasts, why not have a one-on-one fight between the Beastmasters? Whoever wins gets the prize. Xianggu smiled. Is this guy really saying he's challenging me? The host said he couldn't believe it. The young man wanted to challenge a man, the former freestyle wrestling champion. Xianggu entered the arena. All the spectators were expecting a spectacular fight. Linji remarked that this would be much more interesting than a battle between pets. Linji patted the stone demon on the shoulder and said that he had won and could now look at the master. The host and Xianggu exchanged a silent glance. They understood each other without words. The host said, "This young man is the first to dare challenge this man. Therefore, his determination deserves respect. If he can defeat Xianggu, the prize will truly belong to him." Xianggu said he was ready for some fun. The bruiser was ready for the showdown. Tanyun asked his companion, "Is Gu Xinyi really interested in this guy?" The girl asked back, "Why are you bringing this up again, Yun? I told you, you're like a brother to me." Tanyun didn't understand how he was any worse than that guy. Besides, they had only just met. He didn't want that guy to hurt her. The girl said she would handle her own problems. Tanyun could take a break for now. Hishini turned the corner. Tanyun, feeling upset, remained standing where he was. Suddenly, Tanyun heard a woman's screams for help. The girl had been captured by a fiery beast, a fire elemental, a first-rank, second-level creature. Tanyun was furious. He kicked the monster and told it to get lost immediately. Tanyun approached the girl, lifted her head, and asked if she was okay. Behind Tanyun, on the roof of the neighboring house, a stranger appeared. The stranger jumped down to the ground. Tanyun asked, "Who is this guy? And was that his monster?" The stranger said that so-called monsters are evil. Are pets really representatives of good? Who actually decided that? Tanyun asked what the man meant by that. The stranger noted that pets have a much longer lifespan than humans. But because of their loyalty to people, some pets refuse to serve others after their master's death. They are forced to live alone for a long time, without care or attention. Then people start mistaking them for monsters. Tan Yun shouted that it was all nonsense. If this guy harmed people and pets, he wouldn't let it slide so easily. Yun summoned his beast, a dark mage. The stranger asked the young man, "Is your name Tan Yun?" The young man said the stranger had to surrender, or else he'd be sent to the association, where they'd deal with him. The stranger told his monster to retreat. However, it was a trick. The monster began to transform and gained unprecedented power. The stranger said that he had actually been hoping to find this person, but it turned out that the person had come here on his own. Now he wanted to see what Tan Yun was really made of. The monster grew in size and prepared to attack Tan Yun and his summoned beast. Gushini entered the club where the fistfights were taking place. At that moment, the spectators were shouting for Xianggu to show his opponent his strength. Gushini saw that Lin Jie was currently in the arena. At one point, Guan Anning and Guo Xinyi found themselves standing next to each other. Each of them wished the protagonist good luck. The girls exchanged surprised and furtive glances. Xianggu announced that he had become champion for the first time after his very first match. 2 years later, he completely crushed the heavy artillery of Leilong from the country of Sakura. His nickname is Xianggu the Meat Grinder. Xianggu thought that usually his stories would make his opponent's knees buckle. Why wasn't this guy even scared? Xianggu declared that no one should say he was pressuring his opponent. He would give him the chance to strike first. The host told the young man to start the fight, or else they'd break every bone in his body. Xianggu shouted for the audience to watch him closely. Linji declared that in that case, his opponent shouldn't blame him. The protagonist struck. Xianggu lost his footing and flew to the side. The spectators managed to scatter. Xianggu flew past them and fell to the floor. The host didn't understand what had happened. Could Xianggu really have been knocked out with the first blow? Gao Xinyi and Guan Anning cheerfully high-fived each other. The next moment, the girls modestly turned away from each other. The host said it didn't count. Since he hadn't given the command yet, Lin Ji had struck first and broken the rules. Lin Ji glared at the host and placed his hand on the host's head. The host broke out in a cold sweat and admitted he was wrong. This young fighter hadn't broken the competition rules. Lin Ji was declared the winner. The young man checked and he had received 50,000. Our hero figured he now had enough money for a hotel. The delighted girls rushed over to the young man. Guo Xinyi said she hadn't expected that from him. Guan Anning said that those two weren't really friends. Gu Xinyi winked and reminded Anning not to forget that they were on the same team. It was only natural that they had grown closer. Xinyi added that now they would be classmates, so she was ready to introduce herself again. Her name is Guo Xinyi. Lin Jai asked why the girl had come here. Xinyi replied that she'd decided to help activate an additional ability. Anning was surprised. What was she talking about? Xinyi explained that if Anning accepted her as a friend, she was ready to help. Guan Anning suggested finding a quiet place to talk. The girls found a quiet place. It turned out to be a hotel room. Linji said that now Guo Xinyi could begin her story. Xinyi explained that her special spiritual power is called perception. Since she was 7, she's been able to sense information that ordinary people find difficult to detect. Anning said the girl had an amazing ability. Linji asked how she planned to help them. Gu Xinyi asked the young man to close his eyes. He complied. Xinyi moved closer to the young man. Anning was indignant. What was she going to do? Gu Xinyi asked for silence. Only then could she understand the nature of his ability and guide its development in the right direction. Xinyi felt the boy's heart beating rapidly. However, she needed to concentrate. Go Xinyi clearly saw a strange creature. The girl announced that she had noticed a strange pet. It looked like neither the snow maiden nor a stone spirit. It looked like something in between, more like a fusion of the two or a combined state. Linji was surprised. What did Xinyi mean? The girl replied that at the moment she didn't have enough physical strength yet, so she could only sense vague signals. Xinyi said that now it was Guan Anning's turn. Xinyi approached the girl and said that Anning's potential lay deep within her body. Xinyi closed her eyes and saw a multitude of monsters before her. One of the monsters turned and looked at Guo Xinyi. The girl was startled, opened her eyes, and gasped. Anning asked, "Well, what's wrong? What did Xinyi see?" Xinyi replied that she hadn't seen anything special, just some dark shadows. Perhaps Anning's potential hadn't manifested yet. She needed to train more to sense it. Go Xinyi thought that whatever it was, she had a premonition. It was something bad. Anning decided she needed to try harder. Xinyi decided not to say anything for now. Go Shinyi looked at her watch and said it was already too late. A girl shouldn't be out on the streets this late. Shinyi said she would stay here for the night. The young men didn't object, and Gu Shinyi thanked them for their hospitality. That night, the protagonist lay between the girls. However, he couldn't fall asleep. The young man thought about his new pet, which resembled a fusion. He decided that Snow Maiden and the Stone Demon should get along with each other. It was necessary to activate this technique as soon as possible. 10 days passed. A festive atmosphere reigned at the academy. The young people had the opportunity to see the results of the placement. Lin Jai was placed in the first group. His sister said that was wonderful. They would be in the same class. He Xinye announced that she had good news too. She had also been placed in that class. Xinye looked back and saw Tan Yun. The young man was injured and bandaged. The girl asked what had happened to him. Had he gotten into another fight? Tan Yun replied that he had run into some dangerous people. Tan Yun and Li Pengyun were placed in the second group. Pengyun thought it was a good thing he hadn't ended up in the first group with that guy. Otherwise, he definitely wouldn't have been able to hold back. Tan Yun said he wouldn't mind getting into a fight right now either. Guan Anning saw her friends and was delighted. That meant they had made it here too. Zhang Xiaoyun said they had been assigned to the fourth group. Only the first and second groups were the best. Lu Siqi once again thanked Guan Anning for the training. Qin He reminded them that they had met before. He would be the homeroom teacher for the first-year class and would guide the students in their studies for the next 3 years. There were many courses here, and everyone could choose the number of classes they needed. However, no matter how the students felt about their classes, they couldn't stop training. Jin He added that the young people's strength would be tested periodically. Those who fail the test will be transferred back to a regular class. For each test, the top 3 students in the rankings will receive a scholarship of 100,000. Annan said she wasn't surprised. She didn't expect anything less from this academy. It offers the highest scholarships. If you receive the payment at least twice, you can buy an advanced pet. The teacher noted that the academy offers various clubs and recreational activities, as well as practical projects. After classes, everyone can choose what they want to do. The teacher wanted to highlight one project in particular. Everyone must participate in it. Qin He explained that these are virtual battles. Behind the academic building is a facility for virtual combat that can accommodate several thousand students at once. There you can gain combat experience and level up and rank up your pets. Since this is an online simulation, opponents can include not only students, but also all Beastmasters from across the country. In virtual battles, your ranking not only earns you substantial rewards, but also determines your rank. Bronze, silver, and gold are the most important criteria for Beastmasters. Linji thought he needed to level up his spirit to the Snow Maiden level as quickly as possible. The protagonist decided to activate Fusion and announced it to his pets. However, the Fusion failed because their levels didn't match. Another class had ended, and the students began to leave the classroom. The young man thought he needed to urgently engage in virtual battles to raise his level. One of the students asked if Lin Jie wanted to join the Winter Club. They had the most prestigious club for ice pet enthusiasts. He was also invited to the Stone Beast Enthusiast Club. In this club, everyone helps each other grow. Someone mentioned that the Spiritual Pet Club was waiting for him. There were plenty of beautiful girls there, and they allocated extra funds for various events. The protagonist apologized and said he didn't plan to join any club just yet. Members of the High Mountains Club appeared. They explained to the young man that this is one of the top 5 clubs at Jiangning Academy. All club members are part of the elite. The club leader is a sophomore who ranked in the top 3 on the entrance exam. Lu Han, the club leader, asked the young man, "Is your name Lin Jie?" Xinyi thought these students looked mean. She hadn't expected Jin Tao to be a member of the High Mountains Club too. Lu Han said that if the boy joined their club, his life would change radically, considering that the club doesn't accept just anyone. Linji thanked him for the offer, but he had no intention of joining any club at the moment. The young man thought that clubs wouldn't affect his development in any way, even if it was High Mountain. Jinto was surprised. Could this guy really have turned down even the High Mountain Club? How could he have missed such an opportunity? Jinto added that if this guy didn't join their club, he'd become their #1 enemy. Linji replied that he didn't care and went on with his business. Go Xinyi thought that Linji had lived up to her expectations. Anin asked if her brother was afraid. The protagonist noted that joining the club would only cause more trouble. If they were truly skilled, they could try to change his mind. The next room was full of people engaged in self-improvement. Linji said it was time for them to start too, and he and his sister began leveling up through virtual battles. Guan Anning wanted to reach the same heights as her brother. Lin Jai looked at the information board that appeared and was surprised. Were there really that many participants here? Over 500,000? Lin Jai thought it wouldn't be bad to make it into the top 10,000. Opponent matching was activated. The system reported that an opponent had been found. The battle would begin in 10 seconds. Our hero found himself on the field, one-on-one with his opponent. The opponent asked, "Is this guy a student? Is this his first time participating in virtual battles?" The young man nodded in response. The opponent said that newbies join them every academic season. This time, it seemed he was in luck. The opponent released his pet, a saber-toothed boar, and told it to attack. It was a second-rank, first-level wild beast. The opponent signaled for the saber-toothed boar to fight the opponent. Lin Jai was surprised. Was this really a second-rank, first-level pet standing before him? Now it made sense why this guy was so happy about the newcomer. Lin Jai summoned the stone demon, and the saber-toothed boar immediately slowed down. The opponent declared that he would now show the student the difference between them. The stone demon swung and kicked the saber-toothed boar. The boar was instantly destroyed. The pet's owner was terrified and clutched his head. Next, the stone demon fought the Viking, a second-rank, third-level humanoid pet. The Viking was destroyed, and the protagonist's rating increased. Cat Spirit, a second-rank, sixth-level pet, was also destroyed. The stone demon destroyed the foul-smelling carnivorous plant, a second-rank, ninth-level creature. 2 days had passed. The stone spirit had risen to the third rank, seventh level, and Snow Maiden to the fourth rank, second level. Lin Ji had entered the top 100,000. Lin Jai thought to himself that he had already spent 2 days in intense battles. This allowed the stone spirit to rise straight to the third rank. Guan Anning saw Lin Ji in front of her and asked when her little brother had woken up. A stranger approached the young man and asked if his name was really Lin Jie. The protagonist asked, "Isn't that the leader of the newcomers?" The young man said that Lin Ji had proven to be tenacious. He had fought for so long, but he would have to disappoint him. The guy added that he had spent only 3 days and made it into the top 50,000. Guan Anning checked the information and was surprised. Could that really be possible? The girl claimed that her brother had made it into the top 100,000 and provided proof. Guan Anning told her brother that her ranking was stuck at 180,000. No matter how hard she tried, it was very difficult to climb any higher. The girl added that this was why she wanted to sign a contract with another pet. What advice could her brother offer? Lin Ji was surprised. When had his sister earned the right to own a second pet? Anning was surprised. Had her brother really forgotten that she was the only one in her class who had passed the rigorous selection process? Lin Jai asked if Anning had already decided which pet she would contract with for her second contract. The girl replied that she needed to consider rarity, growth potential, and compatibility with the Firebird. Lin Jai told his sister not to worry. He had some advice on choosing a pet and would help her pick one with a hidden evolution path. Guan Anning said that was just wonderful. In that case, they would go to the pet store together this weekend. The young people said goodbye. The young man heard a woman's voice behind him. They were really close. They trained, studied, and ate together. Guo Xinyi asked what kind of relationship they had. Lin Jie remarked that if the girl wasn't there on business, he would go home. Guo Xinyi took the young man by the hand and said they might run into trouble. Earlier, Tan Yun had been attacked by a mysterious man. She learned that their group of examinees was the target of these attacks. Lin Jai asked who the attacker was and what his goal was. The girl replied that she didn't know. Xinyi added that all they knew for now was that he was very strong and possessed a unique soul capable of demonizing pets. Xinyi said she just wanted to warn the young man. Lin Jie waved his hand and thanked her for her concern. The young man added that it was time for him to go. Xinyi wondered how demonization could be connected to Guan Anning's future, which she had sensed. The girl felt uneasy. The next day, Lin Jie prepared for the virtual battle and decided that his goal for today was to break into the top 10,000. Thanks to Snow Maiden, our hero's ranking had risen to 10,002. The stranger studied the protagonist's file. Lin Ji, a first-year freshman. He learned his age, ranking, and current pets. The stranger said he needed to deal with this person. The system successfully teleported Lin Ji to a new virtual location. His opponent was already waiting there. The opponent wore a mask that completely concealed his face. Lin Jai asked when combat masks had become popular. The opponent summoned his pet, a 4th-rank, 1st-level armored turtle. Another pet was also summoned, a 4th-rank, 1st-level dragonfish. The opponent asked if the student thought he only had 2 pets. Lin Jai said that in that case, two would fight against two. It was only fair. Our hero summoned the Stone Spirit and Snow Maiden. Lin Ji thought that his opponent's beasts were 4th rank. That meant the top 10,000 were very strong. Just how powerful were the players ranked higher? The opponent said he knew Lin Ji and hadn't expected this guy to climb the rankings so quickly. The masked man added that Lin Jie used to fight against scum. The top 10,000 are true elite fighters. It would be a long time before Lin Ji could share their common cause. Lin Jai said that one shouldn't make decisions for others. The protagonist suggested they start the duel right away. The masked man said that in that case, the student would witness true power equal to the heavens. The Snow Maiden and the Stone Spirit prepared to face the 4th-ranked pets. The turtle was put into battle mode. The Stone Demon activated its demonic soul mode. Snow Maiden used an ice shield to fend off the turtle's attack. The dragonfish activated a whirlpool. In response, Snegorochka used an ice meteor. The armored turtle was stopped. Part of its body was covered in ice. The masked man said that wasn't bad. It turns out this student is quite strong. Lin Ji thought that even though his opponent had the advantage, he was now on the defensive, constantly on guard. The masked man's beasts were acting in perfect coordination. After the battle, it was necessary to mend relations between Snegorochka and the Stone Spirit. The opponent said that the real test was still ahead. The mutation skill was activated. The dragon-like fish fired a jet of water at the armored turtle. It was a combined technique, recreation from water and mud. Our hero found this skill quite surprising. The transformed turtle attacked our hero's pets once again. Lin Jai shouted for Snow Maiden to cast a severe cold zone. The armored turtle was once again covered in a thick layer of ice. Lin Ji activated a barrier attack, blocking the armored turtle's path. The opponent laughed. He said that the spiny turtle's defense couldn't compare to other pets, especially since it was covered in a layer of frozen mud that had hardened into an iron shell. This student still had a lot to learn. The dragonfish unleashed a high-temperature water bomb. Lin Ji was surprised. Could this pet really spew hot water as well? Lin Ji realized that he wouldn't be able to use the severe cold zone again anytime soon, and that was bad. The young man told Snow Maiden to retreat immediately. A powerful explosion rang out. The protagonist was forced to fly far backward by the shockwave. The ice shield shattered into pieces. However, our hero was unharmed. The masked man said that this guy had passed the test. Snow Maiden was ready to continue the battle. Lin Jai told his pet that everything was fine. However, they had lost, but there was still time to get stronger. The young man's rating had dropped. The battle would end in 30 seconds. The Stone Spirit was deactivated but survived. The masked man noted that this guy didn't even spare his own life to protect his pet. No wonder the boss noticed him. Lin Jai was surprised. What does that mean? The masked man told Lin Ji to join their symbiosis team. They could help the young man awaken his powers and reach a new level. Lin Ji assumed that the symbiosis team wasn't just a school club. The young man asked what their goals were. The masked man said he was waiting for the boy's answer. Lin Jai declared that he was refusing. He wanted to defeat this opponent on his own. The masked man said that in that case, he would wait for Lin Ji here. The young man looked at the comments in the chat rooms about the current participants. Many called Lin Jie arrogant and wanted more detailed information. The young man asked Lin Jie if he had ever faced the symbiosis team. The protagonist confirmed this and asked if Li Pingyun had joined their team. Pingyun replied that he shouldn't be underestimated. That imposter would pay for everything. Lin Ji asked Pingyun if he knew about their origins. His companion replied that he would handle everything himself. Lin Jai surmised that they had quite a few henchmen. What did they want? Go Xinyi must have mentioned them. Our hero thought that perhaps he could squeeze some information out of the masked man. However, if he let things take their course, it could lead to trouble. Lin Jie recalled that currently, the Stone Spirit was at the 3rd rank of the 7th level, and Snow Maiden was at the 4th rank of the 2nd level. The remaining points could allow the Stone Spirit to rise to the 4th rank, but without the necessary materials, it would be impossible to break through. Our hero figured that buying those materials would cost at least 400,000. Zhou Xiong ran up to the protagonist and said that according to the forum posts, he had lost. Could someone really have defeated him? Lin Jai stated that he wasn't omnipotent and asked how one could obtain high-quality earth elemental essence and soul stones. Zhou Xiong acknowledged that these were extremely rare and interesting items and asked how many would be needed. Lin Jie said he was interested in 30 pieces of high-quality earth elemental essence and 3 spirit stones. Zhou Xiong was horrified. Even if they robbed the rich, they still wouldn't be able to get that many. Young remembered that he knew of a place where these materials might be found and offered to take Linji there. Before the ancient wars, numerous rifts to other dimensions had appeared in the world. These rifts connect different worlds from which the pets come. Several decades ago, the Beastmasters Association and universities controlled the entrances to these secret territories, gaining endless resources. However, there are also unexplored areas. Many people eager to obtain resources went in there and never returned. That is why such places were closed off. Linji asked if Xiong was sure that this secret territory contained what he needed. Xiong confirmed it. Real warriors had gone there to extract the necessary resources. Xiong showed him a secret book and said he had obtained this information with great effort. The young man added that high-quality earth essence and soul stones could be found there. Linji said that was great and suggested they take a look. Xiong advised them to think it through carefully. If something terrible happened, it would be impossible to get out of there. Linji replied that if they could get both materials, the risk would be worth it. If Xiong was afraid, it wasn't too late to turn back. Xiong bravely remarked that he would go too, since he had been gathering information specifically for this moment. Xiong expressed confidence that together they would be able to get their hands on a lot of useful things and would definitely get rich. Linji remarked that that would be wonderful. The young men descended to the bottom of the gorge. Anxiety was mounting. Xiong summoned his pet, Big Mouth, and told it to collect low-grade crystals and use them to improve itself. Xiong added that although they weren't expensive, they used to have to spend money on them, but now they could get them for free in the secret territory. Shun told his pet to grab as much of this material as possible, since everything here was free. Linji realized something was wrong and shouted for Xiong to stop immediately. The protagonist noticed a strange creature. It was a crystal tiger, a fourth-tier, second-rank stone element. Linji was surprised. Could materials actually grow on other beasts? So were the materials needed for evolution part of other beasts? Would Big Mouth be able to handle this? Chugling told his companion not to underestimate his pet. Xiong added, "You just have to wait until Big Mouth digests it." At some point, Big Mouth spat out the crystal tiger. Apparently, it couldn't digest it. Chugling surmised that the beast was too hard to eat. Linji was surprised. Could this guy really understand his beast language? The crystal tiger let out a loud roar. At that very moment, other monsters of the same type appeared all around them. They began closing in from all sides, surrounding the young men. Xiong realized that his big mouth monster wouldn't be able to handle them. Linji said that in that case, they needed to retreat. Linji summoned his pet for help. Snow Maiden immediately froze all the monsters in the area. Next, the stone spirit stepped in. With blows from his fists, he shattered the frozen monsters. Chun began collecting the crystals and declared that they would definitely get rich. The big mouth monster could hold on to all the crystals for now. Linji told Xiong to throw all the crystals away. Zhou was surprised. Why do that? Even though they aren't expensive, there are still a lot of them. Linji pointed out that the big mouth had a limited capacity in its mouth. These low-level materials were no longer needed. In the depths of the secret realm, there would be better materials. They could take as many of those as they wanted. Xiong agreed that this was the right decision. The young men set off deeper into the realm. Linji surmised that the better materials would be found on larger beasts. Large creatures covered in crystals began to approach the dungeon travelers. One of the monsters burst out of the ground and grabbed Big Mouth. Linji summoned a stone spirit for help and began attacking the monsters that had appeared. The monster turned out to be a giant stone snake, a third-rank, fourth-level creature. The protagonist noticed that these beasts fled after taking a single hit, but he would have to defend himself as well to avoid their attacks. Linji realized that judging by their movement pattern, it would be best to prepare for an attack in advance. He had to strike the moment they poked their heads out. Xiong continued to chase after the monster, shouting for it to release Big Mouth immediately. At one point, Xiong found himself captured by the monster and called out to his ally for help. Linji recalled how Xiong had been captured by the golden tree and said that this looked familiar. Linji activated a protective sphere and became out of reach for the monster. The stone spirit crept up from behind and grabbed the crystal snake by the torso. The stone spirit began to fight the crystal snake, trying to defeat it. Xiong shouted that the snake was preparing to strike and that they absolutely had to dodge. Linji ordered the stone spirit to keep fighting and wait for his further instructions. At the right moment, Linji exerted himself and defeated the monster. Xiong thought that it turned out Linji had used the spirit as bait to destroy them all at once. Linji said that now the stone spirit could reduce the monsters to dust. A system notification appeared. Lin Jai has defeated the giant stone snake. 2 advanced earth crystals obtained. Lin Jai thought there were still 28 left. Zhou Xiong kept screaming and calling for help. The stone snake continued to hold him down. As a result, Xiong and his pet found themselves in the stone snake's lair. It was pitch black all around. At one point, Zhou Xiong saw glowing lights and was frightened. Small monsters began to approach the young man. Xiong screamed in fear. If he had known earlier, he would never have come here. Now they would definitely devour him. Lin Jie and his pets managed to push the ground apart and saw Zhou Xiong in the dungeon. The boy called for help again. Xiong was delighted and said, "Finally, they've come for them." Lin Jai counted 28 monsters around them and said that was just what they needed. Zhou Xiong said he knew Lin Jai wouldn't abandon him. The monsters were closing in. Zhong shouted that they had to hurry or he might die. Lin Jia summoned Snow Maiden to help. Zhong told Big Mouth that now they definitely wouldn't die. A system message appeared stating that a top-quality earth element item had been obtained. Lin Jai thought that even though only one material had dropped compared to the adult giant stone snake, these lower-tier snakes were far too nimble. Zhou Xiong was saved and said that he had managed to survive after all. The young man declared that Lin Jie was now his true brother. Suddenly, another stone snake burst out from beneath the ground. Zhong and his pets scattered in different directions. Lin Jai told the stone spirit to save this young man. Zhou Xiong and his pet were saved once again. The stone snake grew angry, and the stone spirit was ready to continue the battle. Lin Jai told the pets that it was time to show the results of their training. At that moment, the stone snake decided to attack them. The spirit took the brunt of the blow. Snow Maiden repositioned herself and prepared to counterattack. Snow Maiden used her unique abilities, directing ice magic at her opponent. The stone snake found itself bound by icy chains. The stone spirit recovered from the snake's attack and also lunged at it. The stone spirit reached the 3rd rank of the 8th level. An achievement was earned for disturbing the nest of the giant stone snake. The protagonist thought that not only had he gathered materials, but the stone spirit had also leveled up. If he used the achievement points for experience, the conditions for the stone spirit's breakthrough would be met. Zhou Xiong said that was really cool. Now they could check out the treasure. There were surely a lot of good things here. Suddenly, a stranger appeared. He said it had been an amazing battle. Lin Jie was definitely worthy of his attention. The protagonist was surprised. Who was this guy and how did he know him? The stranger expressed confidence that Lin Jie had already heard of the symbiosis team. Our hero thought, it's them again. Zhou Xiong was surprised. Could this man really be from symbiosis? Lin Jie asked if Xiong knew about them. His companion confirmed it. Zhong added that just a few days ago, Li Pengyun had assigned him the task of investigating this organization. They often attack beastmasters, kidnapping their pets. Zhong added that they call themselves animal protectors. Their slogan, "Free the pets. Freedom is symbiosis." This is a radical animal protection organization, the Symbiosis Team. The stranger said that ever since the catastrophe that occurred several hundred years ago, wild beasts had begun to invade this continent through rifts in the warped fabric of space. Those that could be tamed were called pets. Those that could not be tamed were called wild beasts. The stranger wondered why human society clings to status and wealth, which set it apart from others. Why does humanity also divide species into 3 tiers? The stranger added that this world was very unjust. The existence of the Symbiosis Team was meant to destroy this injustice. The young man noted that Lin Jie turned out to be a very talented person. By joining the Symbiosis Team, he would be able to activate his hidden power. It would also be possible to unleash the natural abilities of his pets, allowing them to evolve into true kings. The protagonist was surprised. Could this guy really know about the passive evolution? Our hero decided that something was off here. This man was just trying to stir up emotions. He was right that the world was divided into the strong and the weak. However, Lin Jie categorically refused to join any organization and become a puppet. Zhou Xiong told Lin Hai not to listen to him. These people were just luring in gullible citizens. In reality, they were wolves in sheep's clothing. If they had the power, they would have gotten rid of the Beastmasters Association long ago. The stranger assumed that these guys didn't believe him. The stranger summoned a giant stone snake, a 2nd-ranked 7th-level beast. However, this snake was small and fit in his hands. The young man said that now Lin Jie would see true power. This beast broke through its shackles and freed itself. The snake grew in size and became simply gigantic. The young man declared that unleashing nature was the first step on the path of evolution. The demonic stone snake reached the 5th rank, 1st level. Lin Jie was surprised, for the snake's level had risen by 3 ranks at once. The soul capable of bewitching beasts and pets? That was Taiyun. The stranger told the snake to act and show what it was capable of now. The demonic snake roared loudly and shot upward. The stone spirit collided with the demonic snake, and a powerful explosion rang out. Snow Maiden was summoned once more and prepared to battle the demonic snake. Chosheng was frightened. Could they really lose? The demonic snake said it was in great pain. Its whole body ached. Shun told his companion what he had heard from the serpent. The protagonist thought that while this guy spoke of equality, in reality he controlled the weak for his own benefit. Could this really be called equality? Linji realized that running away now was pointless. He told Snow Maiden to begin freezing them. The stone spirit must look for weak spots. Linjai thought that Snow Maiden was currently at the 4th rank of the 2nd tier, while the demonic giant snake was at the 5th rank of the 1st tier. Ice against earth with no elemental advantage. Under normal circumstances, unless a breakthrough card is drawn, overcoming an entire rank in battle and defeating the enemy is simply impossible. Linjai surmised that the snake wasn't truly at the 5th rank. A soul like that, penetrating the pet's potential, would inevitably cause a massive backlash. The stone spirit's level was raised. The phantom general form was activated. Linjai told Snow Maiden that he wanted to see the synthesis. The stone spirit and Snow Maiden were ordered to reunite. The joint technique was unlocked, and the fusion level was raised. The Ice Strike skill was activated. Linji thought, could this really be fusion? Ice Core is a powerful offensive skill that infuses the stone core with icy energy, filling it with frost energy. Linji realized that to unlock the art of synthesis, it wasn't enough for Snow Maiden and the stone spirit to be on the same level. They needed to interact with each other. The Phantom General continued to face off against the demonic snake, dodging its relentless attacks. Linji told his pet to aim for the weak spot. The Phantom General successfully attacked the demonic snake, breaking through its defenses. However, this was only a momentary success. Linji thought that the giant stone snake's attacks were too frequent, and Snow Maiden couldn't constantly defend the stone spirit. The stranger told the guy's pets to give it their all. He'd be disappointed if they died so easily. Linjai told Snow Maiden and the stone spirit to try activating the synthesis again. Linjai suspected that this guy was just toying with them. It was unclear what else he was planning. They needed to fight him quickly and settle the matter. The protagonist told Xiong and his big-mouthed companion to distract the giant stone snake. The ghost general needed time to build up his skills. Chosheng was upset. Did he really have to take on the distraction himself? Linji said that otherwise they might die. Zhong declared that dying was not part of his plans. Zhong ordered the big-mouthed one to attack the snake with acid. The pet obeyed the order, and a concentrated blast of acid was directed at the demonic snake. Snake was hit and screamed in pain. The damage was significant. Snow Maiden also attacked the demonic snake, directing an ice storm at it. Snow Maiden and the Ghost General synchronized their offensive actions. Linji took Shun and his pet under his protection and activated a protective sphere around them. Chocheng heard the demonic snake say again that it was in pain and asking for help. Xiong said they should help the snake cope with the pain. Linjai thought that would be the right decision and activated his unique abilities. Achievement completed. Victory over the giant demonic stone snake has been achieved. Corresponding rewards have been credited. The achievement was completed. The giant stone snake was helped by removing the curse. Points and rewards have been credited. Additional rewards were also received: a soul restoration potion and a seed explosion scroll. However, our hero felt a heavy weight on his heart. He couldn't figure out what was wrong. The stranger said, "Could it be that Lin Ji is angry?" The guy added that Beastmasters obtain materials by hunting ferocious animals. Lin Jai was indeed very angry with the stranger. Our hero noted that masters do indeed hunt ferocious beasts to obtain materials. If they encounter animals they cannot defeat, the masters become the beast's prey. The protagonist added that the world is full of injustice and contradictions. However, compared to that, what he hates most are people like this guy. Such people love to talk about equality and freedom, but at the same time use their ideas to intimidate others and exploit the weak. The Symbiosis team is just a group of hypocrites hiding behind the guise of justice. The stranger said their conversation had come to an end. He added that the girl with soul magic would agree to talk to him. The conversation was about Guananing. The stranger added that this guy's sister would be more cooperative. Linji asked, "What is this scoundrel up to?" Our hero realized that his sister was in danger. Linji ordered Snow Maiden to attack the man. Snow Maiden unleashed her icy chains. Everything around them was covered in an icy fog. When the fog cleared, it became clear that the stranger had managed to escape. Jiangning Beastmaster Academy. Lin Jai moved quickly through the grounds, asking passers-by if they had seen Guan Anning. As he did so, the young man showed them a photo of his sister. Guo Xinyi saw the young man and thought he was very worried. Tan Yun told the girl not to think about this guy. Gu Xinyi ran over to him and said she would find out everything right away. Linja told Xinyi that he had run into the guy who attacked Tan Yun. Perhaps his next target is Guan Anning. Xinyi said that after class, Anning was going to train in the virtual combat room. Linji thanked her and said he was heading there. Guo Xinyi replied that she would go with him. Tan Yun was surprised. What's going on? Zhou Xiong explained that they had encountered people from the Symbiosis organization in the restricted zone. These people were planning to attack Guan Anning. Tan Yun said that this must not happen again, and that he too must do whatever he could to help. The young people ran into the virtual combat room and began calling out loudly for Guan Anning. Li Pengyun said he knew where the girl was right now. Pengyun added that if Lin Jie wanted to know where she was, he'd have to beg him. Then he might take pity and tell him. Lin Jai decided to do something else. He grabbed the guy by the chest and shouted at him to tell him everything immediately. Pengyun admitted that he had just run into her by chance. Her friend, whose last name was Zhang, said she was going to get some supplies. They must have gone to the pet store together. Linji decided that in that case he should call her. However, Guan Anning didn't answer. The protagonist said they needed to notify the school administration immediately. Everyone had to look for this girl. Zhou Xiong said he would alert everyone right away and organize a search. At that moment, Guan Anning was already captive. The girl opened her eyes and wondered, what kind of place was this? She couldn't move. Zhang Xiaoyun was lying on the floor in front of her. The girls were in some kind of dimly lit warehouse. Anning was tied by her hands and hanging in the air. Standing before Guan Anning were a group of young people. One of them was the masked man the protagonist had fought in virtual reality. Anning asked who they were and why these people had kidnapped her and her friend. The masked man replied that she shouldn't worry. They just wanted to be friends. The stranger stated that they were from the Symbiosis organization. Anning asked, "Do you tie up future friends?" The girl demanded that they release her immediately. Guan Anning thought that her firebird could counteract the plants. If she summoned it, it would be able to burn the vines. At that moment, the plants began to pull the girl in different directions, even harder. The hooded man said that his poisonous vine demon had already injected the girl with poison. If she didn't want to end up a vegetable, she shouldn't activate her soul power. Guan Anning decided to buy some time until the poison wore off. She asked what these scoundrels wanted. The masked man said it was very simple. They were inviting her to join the Symbiosis for the sake of the great cause. They needed her power so that together they could destroy this unjust world. The villain had heard that the girl possessed a special soul capable of transforming pets into magical creatures. The masked man asked her once more to start cooperating with them. Anning stated that her pet could indeed transform, but that was the Phoenix's ability. The villain noticed that the girl didn't want to think at all. Then they would have to use special methods. Guan Anning shouted that she really didn't know what kind of special soul this was. There was a commotion in the next room. The people heard the door creak and turned around. Lin Jai appeared in the doorway. The young man told those scoundrels to let the girl go immediately. A strange creature was with him. Anning was delighted to see her brother. She said it was simply wonderful. The masked man was surprised. Hadn't the boss said he was going to the Masters Association? Where did this guy come from? The protagonist wondered. Wasn't this the same masked man he had encountered during the virtual battle? Our hero's companion was a spirit dog, a second-rank, third-level animal. Skill, Spirit Sense, allows the user to ignore visual distractions and track the energy of a specified target. The fresher the trail, the higher the effectiveness. The masked man was surprised. Wasn't this a creature bred by the Association of Beastmasters? The villain said that if this guy had shown up on his own, then he simply needed to be tied up. The hooded man ordered his pet to attack the protagonist. Guan Anning shouted for her brother to be careful. This vine is poisonous and can interfere with the flow of soul energy. Lin Jai leaped to the side and managed to dodge the poisonous vine's attack. The stone demon was summoned and immediately attacked the poisonous vine, dealing a crushing blow to it. The villain summoned an armored turtle and a dragonfish. He warned that this was no longer a virtual battle. The masked man realized that the wounds in this battle would be real. A combined technique was activated, restoration with water and earth. The transformed turtle prepared to attack. The villain said that his pets were 4th rank, and this guy was definitely no match for him. The masked man added that if the guy was obedient, he could avoid trouble. The young man thought that the hot environment would limit Snow Maiden, so it would be better to give the role of leader to the stone spirit. Earlier, the stone spirit had already met the conditions for evolution. It lacked the spirit of the primordial amber stone to complete the process. Now those materials were present. The protagonist said that his pets were also at the 4th rank. The conditions for the stone spirit's evolution were met. The stone demon evolved into an earth spirit. Guan Anning was surprised. Had her brother's pet really evolved so quickly? Noticing this transformation, the turtle was frightened and even backed away. The masked man didn't understand what was happening. He had never seen a shelled turtle behave this way. Linji admitted that even among creatures of the same type, there should be no restraint. Linji added that his earth spirit was no ordinary stone element pet. His new skill, earth power. The masked man said that events were unfolding according to a negative scenario. They had to take the girl and retreat. Poisonous vine was activated once more. Guan Anning found herself completely ensnared by the poisonous vine. The girl thought she mustn't let her brother down, but he might have weakened. Guan Anning summoned the demonic phoenix. Anning told her brother that Zhang Xiaoyun was still asleep, but that they were all right. The girl asked her brother to catch those scoundrels and punish them to the full extent of the law. The villains decided to retreat immediately to avoid encountering the people from the association. Poison Ivy initiated the release of a poisonous mist. Linji was surprised. Could it be that these scoundrels had decided to flee? The masked villain told his companion that he was too slow and that they wouldn't be able to get far this way. The villain fumed. Why couldn't his pet even fight properly? The masked villain added that Linji's pets were evolving strangely. However, the poisonous mist would soon wear off, and their pursuers would be able to catch up to them. The villains came to an abrupt halt as our hero's pets appeared before them. The stone spirit was in the lead. Guan Anning and her fire phoenix stood nearby. The girl demanded that they immediately explain what the special demonic soul they had mentioned earlier meant. Anning asked another question. What did their great goal mean? The captives couldn't speak, as they had gags in their mouths. Linji thought, doesn't that stranger in the hood possess exactly such a demonic soul? How could such evil sorcery be connected to Guan Anning? Linji told the villains that he was willing to give them a chance. To do so, they had to tell him everything honestly. Otherwise, they would be punished to the full extent of the law. One of the villains got scared and said he would tell everything. The spy added that the new recruits from the academy had great potential. The villain grew angry. How could this traitor give in so easily? Most people joining the alliance are low-ranking spirit hunters with flaws and weak familiars. If you want to become strong, you need to unite. During the exams, Guan Anning demonized her pet. This soul is very important to them. Demonization increases the combat effectiveness of pets, and everyone must understand what that means. Guan Anning reminded the villains that this is the power of the demonic phoenix. Linji was surprised. Hadn't these people already mastered a demonic soul? Why then were they looking for Guan Anning? The villain replied that their demonization wasn't a soul, but the use of a certain artifact. Linji asked what artifact they were talking about. The frightened villain said that if they let him go, he would hand over the artifact. Linji was outraged. Were these scoundrels really going to start making demands now? The young man told Snow Maiden to talk to them. Snow Maiden stepped closer, and the villains groaned, for they immediately began to freeze. Snow Maiden pulled a shard of the rift from the pocket of one of the captives. Annin asked her brother what it was. She hadn't seen anything like it in the artifact reference book. Linji explained that artifacts are supernatural objects possessing extraordinary power. They emerged during an era of catastrophes and rifts between other dimensions and this world. These objects can serve various purposes. Vast spaces of super-real volume, materials to enhance the combat power of beastmasters. The young man thought that, according to the system, the primary use of these crystals was as materials for evolution. Other uses were most likely the demonization of pets. It was no surprise that they were mistaken for artifacts. The Fire Phoenix shows great interest in these materials. Perhaps they are related to its evolution. Linji handed the crystal to his sister and told her to take it. Perhaps it was necessary for the Phoenix's evolution. Linji turned to the villain and said he was interested in the ability to demonize the Phoenix. The doors swung open again, and Guo Xinyi and Tan Yun appeared in the doorway. The girl asked if Linji was okay. The young man replied that they were fine and even had prisoners. Zhang Xiaoyun was also fine. Though she had been poisoned with a sleeping powder, she should come to soon. Yuan, captain of the Masters Association team, burst into the room with his assistants and said that the crime scene needed to be sealed off. They also needed to check on all the injured. The captain approached the protagonist and asked if his name was Lin Ji. The young man confirmed it. The captain also gave his name and rank. He added that he had spoken with the director. The young man had been mentioned as a very talented newcomer in the current intake. Yuan extended his hand and thanked the young man for the information he had provided about the symbiosis team. The squad captain added that the young man would be awarded a bonus and a free pool membership. Yuan said that his team would restore order, but that the young man's cooperation would be needed for the investigation. 90 agreed. Yuan assigned people to take the young men to the clinic to check on their health. At the hospital, Zhang Xiaoyun regained consciousness and was told what had happened. The girl said she felt dizzy, closed her eyes, and woke up already at the clinic. Anand said that the villains had attacked her quite unexpectedly. Xiaoyun noticed that Tan Yun and Lin Jie had also met with the symbiosis team. It was hard to believe. Guo Xinyi recalled that the villains had mentioned the symbionts had used a demonic soul technique on Guananin. Could this soul technique be related to what she saw earlier? Jie Xinyi told the protagonist that she wanted to speak with him and his sister in private. Xinyi reminded him that she had helped investigate the potential of the soul technique. Xinyi added that when she spoke of shadows, she had gathered data. She had seen signs of a demonic entity appear in Guananin. Countless demonic familiars stood at her feet. Xinyi apologized and admitted that that scene had been too terrifying for her. That's why she wanted to gather some data first and then tell everyone about it. Anand stated that she had only heard of ferocious demonic beasts. The demonic branch is unusual. Its ability is extremely rapid growth. But such beasts are usually cruel. When confined as familiars, they can gradually erode their master's mind. The master gradually becomes uncontrollable, grows dark, and turns into a merciless, fallen one. Gu Xinyi noted that under the association's control, breeding and selling demonic pets is now prohibited. Materials related to the evolution of demonic species are strictly controlled and banned from sale. Lin Jai noted that the man he had met was carrying a demonic pet, but it seemed that the man remained clear-headed and in full possession of his faculties. Fallen refers to a master consumed by their pet's power. Symbiosis occurs when a pet is influenced by another power. Lin Jai asked his sister how she had demonized the phoenix. The girl replied that after evolving from a firebird into a phoenix, she had gained this ability. Currently, the phoenix is at the 2nd rank, 7th level. After demonization, it reaches the 3rd rank, 2nd level. This lasts about a minute. Anand added that with her current power, she can use this no more than once a day. Linji said that he had seen the demonized beasts of the symbiosis team. The results were extremely unstable. It seemed they were trying to find a way to control this power, which is why they were hunting Guananin. Gu Xinyi noted that there are many wonders in the world. The development of humanity's spiritual power is merely the tip of the iceberg. Xinyi added that the most important thing is to build up her power. Once Anin forms a contract with her 2nd spirit pet, she'll be able to discover new ways to interact with that power. Guananin said that if this is a new type of spirit technique, the symbiotes won't just give it up so easily. The girl added that strengthening herself is the best solution in any case. If someone stands in her way, she simply needs to become stronger. Anin told her brother that during the first trial after starting her studies, Phoenix got stuck at the 2nd rank of the 7th level and couldn't evolve. She wants to contract with a 2nd pet as soon as possible and become stronger. Her brother replied that he would help her. The young man thought that this way he could find out more about the Phoenix. Gu Xinyi pointed out that it was already late and the pet shops were closed. They could go tomorrow. There were 3 days left until the trial. Linji said he knew of a 24-hour store that sold starter materials and provided initial pet evaluations. The young people headed to this shop. It still displayed ordinary pets, without any special evolution pass. Even within a single species of pet, hidden evolution paths aren't guaranteed. Anand said these pets looked ordinary. She grabbed the beak of a fire phoenix and selected an evolution line. The flaming eagle line was selected. It enhances strength and base stats, increasing the power of explosive attacks. The next evolutionary form is the red flaming eagle. It can evolve up to the 5th rank. The 2nd line of the hellish blazing phoenix awakens ancient veins within the body, striving for the evolution of life into a more primitive form. It emphasizes improving control over the flames. Lin Jai thought that usually the phoenix's standard line is the flaming eagle, while the hidden line is the hellish blazing phoenix. It's unclear exactly how this path was activated in Guan'aning. Apparently, the line is connected to the demonic branch. Development along the path of the infernal blazing phoenix is irreversible. Either the bird must be allowed to continue evolving, or it will get stuck at this stage. In that case, a second pet will have to be raised. The next form is the magma red spring. Such things weren't required during the evolution of Snow Maiden and the Stone Spirit. Perhaps this is a feature of the demonic branch. Linjai told his sister that he had actually awakened a special soul technique. Sometimes he vaguely senses the path of evolution hidden within certain pets. Anin remarked that in that case, it was no surprise that Snowflake had evolved that way. The young man said that things weren't quite so wonderful. He could only vaguely sense it, and it consumed a lot of energy. Our hero couldn't tell anyone that he had a system. Moreover, if such an unnatural ability were discovered, the association would capture him and begin experimenting on him. The protagonist sensed something while near the phoenix. The bird harbors a dormant, unusual, and powerful force. This branch of evolution is significantly stronger than the standard line of the flame eagle. It is also extremely dangerous. He sensed that this power was filled with wildness and uncertainty. As it evolves further, it will become linked to the demonic element. Anin was surprised. Could it really evolve into a dual-element beast? Fire and demon are a rare combination, but nothing is impossible. Linji noted that the information he sensed was very vague. It needed some kind of very ancient catalyst to awaken the power. Guan'aning wasn't surprised that the phoenix hadn't evolved yet. In any case, this was a power that she and the phoenix would have to face and learn to control. As for the object needed to activate its potential, it is a shard of the rift. The young man thought that any ancient object would do. This shard of the rift must meet the requirements. But how to tell Guan'aning this? The young man used a soul technique as a pretext to sense the path of evolution. Anin said she sensed energy in the crystal. It was similar to the phoenix's energy. The girl held out the crystal to the phoenix and was surprised to see that it immediately ate it. The phoenix began to transform. Linji told his sister not to be afraid. The protagonist activated a protective sphere. The phoenix evolved into a third-rank, first-level flaming phoenix. Guan'aning noticed that this form radiated incredible power. Linjai said that the evolution had to be successful. That was the most important thing. The boy added that when the phoenix evolved next time, he would definitely help. Aning looked at the flame phoenix and told her brother that they had succeeded. The manager told the young people that next time, if they wanted to tame a pet, they should go to a professional training hall. The young people were forced to pay much more money than they had planned. Linjai thought that the bonus he had just received from the association was instantly gone. He needed to earn money again as soon as possible. A hooded stranger from the symbiosis group was examining a large crystal. The assistant reported to the boss that the police had caught them. The hooded man replied that he understood everything. The assistant asked what they would do now. The boss replied that everyone must be informed not to take any action in the near future. They had to wait for the right moment. The others would come here looking for them. Linjai thought that after finishing training in the secret realm, he would have to take the first test since classes began. If he got a good result, he could receive a substantial scholarship. At the same time, by raising his ranking in virtual battles, he could earn prizes and monetary rewards. Linja saw that after a few days without fighting, his ranking had dropped by nearly 2,000. The opponent matching system had been activated. Linji thought he needed to put in the effort and break through to the next level right away. A small goal before the test, to break into the top 100. He defeated the Cultivator, a second-rank third-level player. His ranking went up. Next, the Devouring Turtle, a third-rank first-level beast, was defeated. His ranking also rose. The Three-Headed Dog, a third-rank, third-level creature, was defeated by a stone demon. Now the protagonist was in the top 6,000. His next opponent had an Ice Scorpion, a fourth-rank, third-level beast. The opponent said he knew this newcomer, as the guy had recently become famous. His second pet was a fourth-rank, first-level Sacred Spirit of Light. Yinlang, a ninth-rank cultivator, told the young man that he respected him for his strength, but that was all. Now this guy's winning streak would be broken. Linji said he was ready to begin. Yinlang grew angry. Who did this guy think he was? Did he plan to defeat him by summoning just one? Only Snow Maiden appeared. Yinlang said his opponent could have summoned someone better. A moment later, Yinlang found himself trapped in an icy trap. Linjai praised Snow Maiden and said it was excellent work. Among opponents of equal level, Snow Maiden can completely overwhelm her opponent. Linjai noted that intense battles had fueled Snow Maiden's progress. Now all that remained was to find the necessary materials for her evolution. Rewards for achievements were received. A bronze rating was awarded. Linji was delighted and decided to buy materials for Snegorochka the next day. At the same time, he would use soul crystals to boost her base stats. Zhang Manman, the head of Dragonheart, peeked into the room and greeted Guo Xinyi. Manman asked if Xinyi wanted to join them for testing next week. Xinyi agreed. She had been worried that she wouldn't be able to find suitable teammates. Who was on this team? Manman replied that besides her, there was also Lian Yan and others. The girl added that they were still short 2 people. Could Xinyi invite Linji to join them? Xinyi asked, did they really invite her just because of that guy? Manman noted that he had recently caused quite a stir in the virtual world as a breakout candidate. Linjai used a spiritual power crystal and a fortifying crystal. After that, a breakthrough in spiritual power occurred. The young man noted that his spirit level had increased, and his maximum spiritual power had also risen. Now the combined technique of Snow Maiden and Stone Spirit would become stronger, and the power of his spiritual techniques would increase. Linji told the manager that he wanted to buy an icy blue tier. Payment could be made in cash or via a crypto wallet. The manager apologized and said that the last icy blue tier in the store had just been sold. This material is quite rare. The next batch will arrive in a month. Linjai thought a month was too long to wait. Jinyi walked into the store with her friend, waved, and said that they had finally met. Xinyi said that the trials would begin next week and asked if the young man had found a team. The answer was no. Xinyi asked if Linjie wanted to join their team. Zhang Manman said hello and mentioned that it had been a long time since they'd seen each other. Manman mentioned that she was the president of the Dragonheart Club and a sophomore. She introduced her vice president, Gu Lingyang, who was also a sophomore. Linjai greeted the girls and mentioned that he wasn't planning on looking for a team. The protagonist knew that team rewards always came with headaches and strangers. It would be better to take his sister along. It would be more fun to explore the secret realm together. Xinyi asked if Linjie really wasn't going to the secret realm. To ensure the safety of the trial organized by the academy, a team must have at least 5 members. The young man was surprised. Were there really such rules? Xinyi asked, "You weren't planning on going alone, were you?" The boy replied that she had figured him out. Gulangyan asked, "Did Linjie just want to buy an icy blue tier?" The girl said that if Linjie joined their team, she would give him that crystal as a reward after the trials. He would also receive 10 ice element materials. Linji thought it would be hard for him to turn down such an icy blue tier. Gulang Yan added that they would share all the rewards they received with the young man. Linji agreed, but said he had a small request. Lang Yan noted that they would also take Guananing with them. The young people said goodbye until next Monday. Everyone was satisfied with the preliminary agreement. The day of the trials arrived. All interested parties arrived at the meeting place. Guan Anning said it was simply amazing. Manman asked, "Are they really that shocked?" She had been shocked too when she first saw it. Lin Ji, pointing at the wall, asked what kind of monster it was. Zhang Manman replied that according to official statements from the union and the association, no one had ever seen this monster. However, among themselves, the Beastmasters call it the Monster of the Void. Teacher Chin, he said that soon all the students would enter the secret realm so they could prepare. Participants would distribute among themselves all the materials obtained during the trial. Nothing needed to be returned to the academy. The secret realm of the Red Land is divided into 5 circles. The danger increases as one approaches the center. Each circle has a gate leading to the next. Each has its own environment and different ferocious beasts. You must not attempt to enter the inner circle on your own. The teacher added that this trial lasts 7 days and anyone can leave it early. The secret realm of the Red Earth, 5th circle. A 3rd rank, 8th level lightning beast, element of electricity. Gu Lanyan said they had arrived at their destination. The second pet was an icy spiked dragon, a 3rd rank, 5th level creature, element of ice. The girl added that her pets would guard the outer borders. There was also a 4th rank, 1st level lion dragon, earth element. A 4th rank, 1st level fire giant of the fire element. A silver centaur, 4th rank, 2nd level, with the element of light. Linza thought to himself that this girl actually had 3 4th rank pets. Manman remarked that it was no wonder she ranked 2nd among the 2nd-year students. Security here was well taken care of. Manman saw Snow Maiden and Stone Demon and said that they were very beautiful human pets. Real beauties. Could this be the spirit of the earth? Guan Aning asked, is Go Xinyi really not going to summon her pets? Xinyi took the cross off her head and said she had one secret item. The cross vanished into thin air, and Anin remarked that this spatial map was a true marvel. Xinyi explained that the map was a means of spatial travel, and the mist was a pet she had placed inside it. It was called the Spirit of Mist and belonged to the combat class. It can attach itself to its owner. In addition to protecting against damage, it can be controlled to attack. With its help, one can manifest power comparable to that of a fourth-rank beast. Anin noted that it was a versatile weapon for both defense and attack. Manman remarked that Xinyi had quite a few useful items. Xinyi stated that this was not the case. Linjai thought that as his strength grew, the time spent in the wastelands and secret realms would only get longer. Spatial devices are a handy thing. He'd need to get another one if he could. Lu Gengyang said that if everyone was ready, it was time to set out. The young people saw the mangled bodies of mummies all around them. Leng Yan said that these mummies were ordinary second-rank beasts in the fifth circle. She had taken out 15 mummies with a single strike. Leng Yan added that there were many different tracks here. A strong team was ahead. Gao Xinyi said that this team was helping them get rid of the beasts. Suddenly, Manman said that something was bothering her. Gulanyan noticed that she couldn't see Lin Ji and Guan Anning's pets. Manman asked, are there really beasts that Len Yang doesn't know about? Does that mean these pets are very rare? Have they never encountered them before? Gu Lingyan replied that she didn't know yet. The evolutionary paths of pets are still being studied. Some families have unique development paths. The girl thought that pets were an important secret of the masters. They wouldn't reveal their secrets to outsiders. It wasn't worth asking questions without thinking. Fourth circle. Destructive spirit, element of darkness, third rank of the fourth level. Lenying said that this was the evolved form of the mummy, the destructive spirit. Linja said he wanted to gain combat experience. Opportunities to practice soul techniques are rare. The destructive spirit rose up on its hands and tried to move. The stone spirit immediately attacked the mummy, delivering a crushing blow. Linji said that wasn't bad. He thought that progress was rapidly moving upward. Gulingyang thought that this pet had its own style. An hour later, the young people came upon a massive wall. It was the Wall of Emptiness. Manman realized that it was a relic from the Age of Catastrophes. It separated the third and fourth circles. Manman reminded them that the area was enclosed by the Wall of Emptiness. To get to the third circle, they had to pass through this wall. There are only 4 entrances in the Wall of Emptiness. If you walk along the wall, you can find a door. After a while, the young people did indeed come upon a huge door. The stone spirit pushed against the door and opened it slightly. Manman said that this was very convenient. The strong pets made the task easier. Before they had to push the door for half a day, Linjai stepped inside. Gulingyan told the young man to be careful. There are far more ferocious beasts in the third circle, and they are of a higher level. Furthermore, in the third circle, there is a sinister beast from the zombie class. It is called the Lord of the Void. The Lord of the Void himself isn't the problem. What's truly terrifying is his ability to control others. The Lord can summon low-level allies. Every time he appears, he is accompanied by a multitude of void guards. Manman reminded them that their goal was the second circle. It was better not to waste too much energy here. If a fight could be avoided, it was best to do so. Manman added that there was no need to worry. The Lord of the Void spends most of his time sleeping deep underground. He rarely comes to the surface. Usually the Lord of the Void doesn't come out at all, unless you're really unlucky. The young people thought that Manman might say something she shouldn't right now. Suddenly, a pale guardian appeared, a third-rank, 7th-level undead. Guan Anning was frightened and asked what on earth this was. Manman said she didn't mean to, that this was just one of those rare occasions. Gu Xinyi asked what they should do now. Maybe they should run away? Gu Lingyan said that the guardians ran fast. Spirit-class beasts didn't expend energy. Chasing them across open terrain was foolish. It was better to attack them head-on. The undead and its minions were armed and closing in on the young people. Manman shouted for everyone to get ready. Manman summoned the red spirit, the giant, and activated the fire explosion orb. Go Xinyi shouted that she would help. The girl activated her unique abilities. Snow Maiden created an area of extreme cold. The undead were frozen. The stone spirit, swinging his fists, began to shatter the icy undead, scattering ice shards in all directions. Manman said it was magnificent. How had the young man mastered such a powerful area of effect attack skill? Linjai recalled that earlier, this girl had said, "The Guardian's leader possesses strong leadership abilities." Given such a powerful attack, The leader is definitely behind it. But why can't anything be seen? Anan ordered her firebird to fly ahead and find where the leader was hiding. The leader of the Pale Guardians, a 4th rank, 8th level undead, was detected. He was located to the southeast, no more than 100 meters away from the young people. Anan told her brother that this undead was moving toward them. Linjai summoned the Earth Spirit and said that they needed to activate the Earth Spike. The protagonist saw wounds on the undead leader and realized why he hadn't engaged in open combat. Our hero thought that if the leader of the Pale Guards was wounded, he would have to defend himself against the beast's attack. Snow Maiden and the Stone Spirit of the Earth were already holding back the leader of the Pale Guardians. We must seize the moment and launch a surprise attack. Maybe we can even destroy him with a single blow. Gu Lenyang was surprised. Could it be that Lin Ji had decided to use a soul wave? She said that the arrow's base power wasn't enough to destroy this monster. They needed to use a different tactic and wear him down. Lin Ji said that later they would have to make their way deeper into the second circle. A protracted battle would drain the pet's combat effectiveness. Besides, the leader of the Pale Guard was wounded. There were other squads nearby. They needed to settle this now. The protagonist thought that for an ordinary person, a spiritual arrow with a power of several dozen points isn't strong. Under these conditions, using it is a waste of rare spiritual energy. Our hero activated a hyper-concentrated spiritual arrow and decided to end it all with a single strike. This power was enough to destroy the leader of the Pale Guard. The super-concentrated spiritual arrow dealt significant damage to the undead leader. The Pale Guard fell from his horse. The girls were surprised. Could a single shot from a spiritual arrow really have defeated the leader of the Pale Guard? Lenyan thought that earlier, when he had used the Spirit Spear against a 3rd-rank spirit, its power hadn't been this great. He needed to level up the Spirit Spear to at least the 6th level, but Lin Jai was just a beginner. How was this possible? Lin Jai told the undead not to even think about putting up any resistance. An icy waterfall was activated and stone projectiles were hurled. After the icy mist cleared, it became clear that the undead had been destroyed. Zheng Manman couldn't believe her eyes. Could it really be over with these undead? The girls cheered. Linji said they needed to quickly collect the trophy. It was time to leave. Suddenly, other participants appeared. They said that Lin Jie had absolutely no shame. How could he have the audacity to take the loot from the High Mountain Group? Manman was surprised, for it was a member of the Gaoshan Club, Luo Han. The girl added that it was just luck. The leader's assistant demanded that they immediately hand over the equipment and all the supplies that had fallen from the leader. Manman was surprised. Did they really mean to say that the leader belonged to them? Lohan said that in the secret zone, it was forbidden to take loot from others. Surely they hadn't forgotten this rule in their club. Manman replied that it was just an informal rule. Moreover, there was a follow-up to it. If the prey escapes, the hunt is considered a failure. From the moment it escaped, the prey no longer belonged to them. Geshinyi said that was true. Luohan hadn't managed to keep the prey, so it had escaped. There was no point in blaming them now. The assistant got angry. Don't these people listen to a word they say? Lohan told the assistant to go back. Had he forgotten that attacking was forbidden? The assistant was surprised. Were they really just going to let these people go? After all, the leader of the undead was their prize. Luohan asked, so what was the assistant planning to do? Did he want to take their equipment by force? Luohan pointed out that such actions would only harm them. This was a secret realm. There were more effective ways to make them suffer here. Besides, they had Lin Ji on their team. Luohan added that if they couldn't become allies, then they should find the right moment and give them a little gift. Meanwhile, Manman was searching the undead leader's body. The girl found a fang. She said that such a treasure could be sold for several 100,000 and make them rich. Linja asked if there were any disagreements between the Dragon Club and Gaoshan. Manman replied that there had always been animosity between their clubs, and conflicts often arose. Incidents like today's had happened many times before. Gulungan asked if Lin Jie was at odds with the Gaoshan Club. The protagonist said he didn't want to talk about it. However, they needed to move on. Lanyan said that once they passed the second level of the Wall of Deep Darkness, they would reach the second circle. The destination is the Valley of Grey Blood. There they mine a rare material called Grey Blood Stone. Its price reaches 5,000 per kilogram. 3 hours later, the young people reach the Valley of Grey Blood. With the help of a spatial artifact, they'll be able to carry out a lot of materials. But they must be careful and not let their guard down. Here, a multitude of 5th-level beasts begin to appear. Lin Jai thought that in the secret realm, The level and density of beasts were much higher than in the wilderness. In half a day, the Earth Spirit's progress had increased by 12%. In the Academy's secret realm, there are limits on the number of people. However, in the Masters Association, there are no such restrictions. Although you have to pay for entry, it's worth it. Manman shouted that she had found a gray bloodstone. The stone spirit exerted its power and extracted the gray blood crystals. Manman said that Lin Ji had a really cool pet. The group leader suggested that everyone collect gray blood crystals. Gu Xinyi noted that there was still plenty of room in her spatial artifact, so they could collect more. Luo Han and his assistant concluded that these people had no intention of going any further. What should they do now? The leader said that in that case, they would first enter the second circle and then lead that group of friends there. Luo Han added that after that, the show would begin. Gu Lenyang said that something had happened to her pets. The animals were indeed pacing restlessly. Manman was indignant. How long could this go on? Lin Jai said that his pets were fine. They were feeling lively. Guan Anning noticed that her firebird was also acting restless. Lin Ji asked his sister what was wrong with her. Anning blushed, trembled, and said she could sense a dragon approaching. The girl added that she had seen the dragon's flames and that it was flying toward them right now. The young people looked up and indeed saw the dragon. Manman screamed that things were bad. They were under attack. Lin Jai shouted for everyone to gather around him immediately. The dragon attacked, but our hero activated the protective sphere. The skills Soul Guardian and Ice Mirror were activated. The girls were protected by the sphere, but they were frightened. Lin Jai determined that an 8th rank Soul Guardian was being used against them. However, his spirit was only capable of blocking a few blows. The Soul Clone was activated. However, its duration was no more than a minute. The Soul Clone delivered a lightning-fast strike and closed in on the dragon. Next, the Earth Pressure skill was used. The Soul Clone continued to press the dragon. The dragon raised its wings and roared loudly. Gu Lanyan said that this was a mature stone dragon. 2 elements, darkness and stone. It was indeed at least 8th rank. The protagonist realized that the difference in levels was too great. It was no surprise that earth pressure had no effect. Leng Yan said that a mature stone dragon is a first ring lord. It would never leave its nest by accident. It was brought here on purpose. Recently, several flying pets appeared in the sky. They're probably from another team. Guan Aning noted that only students from their academy could enter such a realm. That means there's a puppet master. Gao Xinyi said this was Gao Shin's doing. They were trying to set the dragon on them. They surely want to destroy them. After a massive attack by the dragon, one of the students screamed for help. However, his comrades abandoned him and fled. The dragon continued to wreak havoc. Gao Shan's group was taking damage. Guan Aning said another dragon had appeared. Now it was chasing after members of Gao Shan's group. However, now everyone was moving toward them. Manman concluded that Gao Shan had deliberately lured the dragon here. However, something had gone wrong. Gu Lingyan announced that they had encountered a male dragon. However, the Gaoshan members are currently being pursued by a female dragon. Gu Lingyan noted that dragons are accustomed to living alone. However, there is one exception: the breeding season. During this period, male and female dragons live together until an egg is laid. The dragons appeared in the second ring because they had chosen this spot to lay their egg. The Goshan members had their eyes on the egg, so the dragons began their pursuit. The Goshan leader's assistant was baffled. Could it be that someone from Dragonheart was still alive? The assistant rushed straight toward the protagonist. He decided that if he was destined to die, it would only be alongside these people. Guan Aning said that this guy wanted to set the dragon on them. Lin Jie, using his unique skills, attacked the approaching member of Gao Shan's squad. The guy tried to run away from the dragon. He didn't know where to go now. The dragon struck, and the young man was sent flying far to the side. The protagonist thought he hadn't managed to attack this guy after all. It was clear that the dragon would spare no one, since the egg had been stolen. Faced with the enraged dragon, the young people realized they were now in big trouble. Gu Lenyang summoned her beasts and ordered them to activate the Ice Dragon and Ice Arrow skills. Gu Lenyang's pet, despite the difference in size, selflessly stepped forward to face the 2 dragons. The Lightning Dragon Thunderstorm skill was activated. Gu Lenyang never lost control of the situation for a single second. The female dragon opened her mouth and released a jet of bloody mist. Gu Lenyang's pet turned to stone in that very moment. The dragon swiped with its paw, and the petrified pet crumbled into pieces. Bleeding profusely, Gu Lenyang asked Lin Jie and his sister for help. The girls ran up to Gu Lenyang and caught her by the arms. It was clear that this was a reaction to the death of her pet. Lengyan said that the Stone Blood Mist was the Stone Demon Dragon's most powerful ability. Apart from other high-level beings, any creature of a lower rank would turn into a stone statue upon contact with the blood mist. Jiang Manman's pets also prepared for battle. However, upon entering the blood mist, they met the same fate. They turned to stone. Manman said that if things continued this way, the entire army would perish. It was only a matter of time. Guan Anning noted that her phoenix wouldn't last much longer. They needed to retreat. Leng Yang pointed out that they couldn't get away. They wouldn't be able to outrun these dragons. Manman declared that she had one way. An artifact in the shape of a bell appeared in the girl's hand. Manman announced that she would hold off the dragons, and the rest had to wait for the right moment. Go Xinyi said that it was a rather strange multi-layered bell. Using a multi-layered bell allows you to ignore the level difference and force the target into paralysis. However, the user is also paralyzed and cannot move. What has Manman come up with now? Manman declared that she would sacrifice herself. It's better than everyone dying. Everyone looked sadly at Jiang Manman. Manman said she wouldn't accept any objections. Linji must lead everyone away from here. Manman said that you must all flee immediately. Linji declared that he could not abandon his comrades in trouble. Our hero noticed that things weren't so bad after all. The young man had the explosion card in his hands. For a short time, the card awakens a pet's potential, allowing it to overcome obstacles. Linja summoned Snow Maiden and Stone Spirit. The soul fusion skill was activated. The process was successfully initiated. The girls hadn't expected such a powerful transformation. Streams of excess energy radiated in all directions. Snow Maiden and the Earth Spirit achieved a fusion form. The result was the mighty Frost Giant. It was a 6th rank, 2nd tier pet. Gu Xinyi said that this was exactly the pet she had sensed before. Linji's soul technique. Gu Linyang said that it was a very powerful energy, at least 6th rank. But even so, it couldn't compare to the 8th rank 2-headed lava dragon. Lin Jai declared that this wasn't all. The explosive growth card was used. The mighty Frost Giant received the command attack. Manman couldn't believe it. Had the level really doubled? Was this card a miracle capable of raising the rank? Lin Jai repeated that the dragons must be destroyed. Mighty Frost Giant attacked and struck both dragons simultaneously. The Frost Giant's additional skill, Absolute Zero, was activated. Ice damage was dealt, and the deep freeze effect appeared. The Frost Giant activated Earth and Ice Layer. The dragons began to be covered in ice. An additional effect was applied, Area Control, constantly slowing enemies caught in the affected area. The Frost Giant began delivering continuous blows to the frozen dragons. The girls watched this mesmerizing battle with bated breath. The duration of the explosive growth card ended. The pet stopped. The dragons were frozen and deactivated. The mighty Frost Giant fusion form was removed. Mammon picked up the Stone Spirit in his arms. Lin Jai picked up Snow Maiden by the arms. He said that the two of them had worked hard. The young man noted that fusion was very taxing. His pets needed to rest properly. Manman was surprised. Could the 2-headed lava dragon really be destroyed so easily? What was that card Linji had just used? Linji explained that most combat artifacts boost a pet's power by a maximum of 4 levels, but this artifact allows the pet to break through level restrictions. Gulangyan remarked that this enhancement effect was simply terrifying. Even famous pet breeding families might not possess such artifacts. Gu Xini also admitted that she had never seen such an artifact. The girls decided that they had to keep this a secret. Lin Jai asked Manman if they could take these materials. Among them were dragon teeth, dragon blood, and dragon armor. There were also dragon scales and dragon hide. Dragon meat was in abundance. The girls gazed in awe at such a vast amount of superb materials. Lin Jai suspected that something was still missing. The young man remembered that the egg was missing. Anin asked what her brother was planning to do. The young man took the spatial ring from the deceased member of the Gaoshan group. Guan Anning said that the ring needed to be checked immediately. The protagonist understood that the ring had no restrictions and was not bound to a single owner. Anyone could use it. The young man decided to focus his mind and explore the space. He stepped inside the spatial ring. Looking around, the young man realized that the area was about 12 square meters, much larger than he had thought, and it was a pleasant surprise. Looking around more carefully, Linji found what he was looking for. The young man picked up the stone demon dragon's egg. The bloodline of this egg unlocks the source of blood power, constantly improving the body and strength, as well as enhancing control over dark elements. The next stage of growth is a dragon cub. Linja thought that with this egg, his third main combat pet was guaranteed. After leaving the secret realm, the young man decided to undergo the Beastmaster's evaluation. Leaving the spatial rings area, Linji explained that the dragon egg had been hidden inside. That was why the mother dragon had been constantly chasing them and wouldn't let them go. Gulangyan said they wanted to thank the young man. They agreed that all the spoils, including the dragon egg, would belong to him. The previous materials would also remain with Linji. Linji replied that he already had the dragon egg and the ice tears. That would be quite enough. The girls could divide the rest among themselves. Jung Man took the young man by the hand and thanked him profusely. She said that while they could enter the secret world again, they only had one life. Without Linji, they simply wouldn't survive. Although these materials were rare, they couldn't compare to the fact that the young man had saved them. Linji tried to refuse pointedly. However, Manman continued to insist. In the end, 80% of the total loot was distributed fairly. Guan Anning asked, "Don't dragons love to hoard treasures? How about taking them instead of their nests?" A dragon's nest had recently been discovered on Fire Island. They could go there. Linji remarked that it was a good idea. The young people set off for their new destination. Gu Xinyi noted that, unlike in novels, these dragons don't like to collect treasures. Gulangyan stated that this nest is a place of prosperity. Dragons usually gather crystals there to replenish their energy. Lin Ji suggested taking some crystals to feed the dragons back with them. Guan Anning said she sensed a familiar scent. Xinyi said she didn't smell anything. Anning noted that they were heading in the same direction. The group of young people found themselves in front of a huge closed door. Gu Xinyi was surprised. Could dragons really create hidden passages? Lin Jai suggested that it was all man-made. Maybe someone lives here? However, they say that this secret world is open only to people from their academy. Behind the door was a dark room, its walls covered with various symbols. The room was dimly lit. A magic circle was drawn right in the center. In the center of the circle, on a pedestal surrounded by crystals, lay a dragon egg. Lin Jie asked how Guan Anning was feeling. The girl said that the egg was calling to her. The young people moved closer, and Gu Lenyang surmised that it was the egg of a demonic pet. However, they couldn't linger here for long. A suggestion was made to take the egg and leave. As they were leaving, Teacher Qin he appeared before the young people. The mentor said that the young people had left quickly, though he had thought they would stay here for 7 days. Gu Lengyang noted that they needed some rest. Xianhao was surprised. Where were they in such a hurry to go? Once back at the academy, Gu Lengyang announced that they would appraise the materials for money and give Lin Jie his share and his sister's share. Lin Jai received the tears and 10 ice essences. Gu Lingyan said she wanted to warn him about the egg found in the dragon's nest. It was the egg of a demonic pet. Therefore, it was best not to hatch it carelessly. The secret room might be connected to the Red Moon. Gu Lengyang asked, "Have you heard of the Fallen?" The Red Moon is a secret society. All of its core members are fallen ones. If the symbiosis group is a tormenting parasite, then the Red Moon is a demon seeking to plunge the world into an abyss. Numerous large-scale terrorist attacks are linked to them. The number of civilians and beastmasters who have died because of their conspiracy is beyond count. Lengyan added that the eggs of demonic pets can only be obtained through a special summoning ritual. Therefore, their sudden appearance in the Academy's restricted zone is no mere coincidence. Lin Jie was taken aback. Could Lengyan be implying that there are members of the Red Moon within the Academy? The girl stated that this was her worst-case scenario. Perhaps remnants of the rituals had accidentally seeped into the secret zone. As for the demonic egg, it would be best to find a way to report it and destroy it. Manman said they wouldn't scare anyone anymore. Lin Ji could keep in touch in the future. The Dragon Heart Club was always happy to have him. Lin Jai acquired high-quality ice essence. Snow Maiden can now evolve. That's exactly why the missing materials were purchased. The protagonist summoned Snow Maiden and handed her the crystal. The ice pet immediately absorbed the crystal. The girl smiled and began to transform. Lin Ji warned the stone spirit not to get up to any mischief during the transformation. Lin Jai suspected that something was still missing. The young man remembered that he still hadn't received his achievement reward. After defeating the 2 frost demon dragons, a new achievement had unlocked. Lin Ji was in a hurry to leave and hadn't noticed it. Lin Jia thought that giant dragon hunter rewards were mostly materials for dragon evolution, which was perfect for the stone demon dragon. Although an explosion card had been used, the destruction of a super powerful pet quest had granted another reward. Elixir of Rebirth, a unique elixir with powerful life force that instantly heals all wounds upon consumption. Growth Crystal can activate a pet's potential and accelerate its growth. Evolution Stone, a unique stone with the power of evolution that activates a pet's inner potential. Linjai decided it was time to form a contract with a third pet. This evolution stone would be very useful. However, the transformation process was more violent than expected. As a result, the location, namely the bed, suffered significant damage. After the transformation, Snow Maiden appeared. She possessed the 5th rank of the 1st level. Linjai said that Snow Maiden had developed some anomalies after synchronizing with the Earth Spirit. The young man was surprised. Could it be because she surpassed the Earth Spirit in rank? Could it be that he would now be unable to use the soul fusion technique? Linjai decided that, after all, once the fusion form was unlocked, it would be possible to fuse with pets of different levels. Snow Maiden was at the 5th rank. She was still a little short of the Earth Spirit's evolution. The next form of the evolution spirit was the Stone Warrior. His current strength was sufficient to pass the test. The Beastmaster's evaluation room. The Beastmasters were waiting. Yasuping called for silence. He said that the exam difficulty was now being selected. Based on their abilities, they needed to choose the exam difficulty that best suited them. Under no circumstances should they choose a difficulty that was too high, so as not to waste a precious chance. An assistant reported to Yezuping that everyone had already made their choice. Only one person chose the ultra-high level. 24 people chose the lowest level. Yezuping asked the assistant if there were any who had decided to take a risk and attempt the ultra-high level. The assistant replied that the student's name was Lin Jie. He was a freshman at Jiangning Academy. No one else had dared to make such a choice. 2 months ago, the Pinhai branch reported that one of the participants had successfully passed the ultra-high level test. Yasuping thought that this guy seemed to be Lin Jie. The mentor stated that he had heard of his achievements and that he was being hailed as a genius among the young. But the ultra-high bronze level would not be easy to pass. Yasuping told the examinees to get ready. The exam was about to begin. Lin Jie was surprised. Would he really be given a dual mode? There were only 5 stages at the ultra-high level. A huge pack of wild monster beasts rushed into the arena where our hero was standing. They were representatives of the fierce abyss rat, 3rd rank, 9th level. Snow Maiden activated her icy breath. The Snow Maiden's breath creates a cloud of icy mist and deals massive damage within the area of effect. The frenzied abyss rat was frozen. The first stage was complete. The battle continued. A multi-headed serpent entered the arena. It was a wild beast of the 4th rank, 2nd level. Frost Maiden activated an ice storm. The multi-headed serpent was destroyed. Its body was reduced to a sieve. Next up was Shadow. It was a 4th rank, 5th level element of darkness. The 3rd stage was successfully completed and the battle continued. After that, a demon appeared. A 4th rank, 8th level dark elemental. The 4th stage was successfully completed and the battle continued. Yasuping was surprised. How was this possible? The demon was a powerful beast. How could this guy have taken it down in a matter of seconds? Not only the demon, but several other beasts were also destroyed with a single strike. It was a complete rout. Could it be that Lin Jie's pet had surpassed the 5th rank? But this guy was only 18 years old. The assistant reported that when this guy first took the test, the situation was the same. He easily passed the ultra-difficult level. The Pinghai City Beast Association sent him an invitation, but he declined. Yasuping said that in that case, it was no surprise he had chosen the ultra-difficult level. However, the final stage with the 5th rank bronze dragon would not be easy to pass. After a while, the stone spirit, Lin Jie's pet, effectively dealt with the bronze dragon. Yasuping was extremely surprised. The mentor thought, did this guy really just summon a second pet and win? One of the participants said that if he hadn't missed, he could have handled the monster. Someone didn't expect it to be so difficult, even at the lower levels. After all, the opponent on the last level was a 3rd rank beast. The participants heard someone behind them say that he had succeeded and had become a bronze beastmaster. One of the participants said he had chosen the high difficulty level. It seems that out of the 4 people who chose the high level, he was the only one to pass. Suddenly, everyone saw a bronze dragon on the screen. But that's at least a 5th rank beast. How could such a beast appear in a bronze level test? The participants recognized the guy who had chosen the ultra-difficult level. It was Lin Jie. Some had seen him during the test in Pinghai. Back then, he had easily passed the ultra-difficult level. The test was over. Lin Jie had successfully passed the ultra-difficult bronze level assessment. Current status of Santa Claus, 5th rank, 3rd level. The participants looked at our hero with admiration. Yasuping congratulated Lin Jie on his magnificent victory. The teacher introduced himself and added that he was an examiner. When he was at the same level as Lin Ji, he had only 2 third-rank pets. Yazuping said that Lin Ji was the first to pass the ultra-difficult bronze-level assessment. Did the young man want to join the association? Lin Ji thanked him and noted that he wanted to focus on training and self-improvement. Yazuping handed him a business card and said he'd been too pushy. In Pinghai, the young man had also turned down the invitation. If he ever showed interest in the association or needed help, he was welcome to reach out. Lin Ji remained in the room alone with his pets. The young man was holding a dinosaur egg in his hand. Our hero recalled what Shinyi had said. If you infuse a soul into a dragon egg, you can form a contract. Lin Ji tried to initiate the soul infusion process. The energy expenditure was enormous. Even his spiritual power couldn't keep up. If this had been an ordinary bronze rank master, he would have been completely drained immediately. Lin Ji placed the egg on the floor. The egg trembled unnaturally. Lin Ji and his pets watched the egg closely. The young man assumed that he had succeeded. But how was he supposed to remove the shell now? The egg began to tremble more intensely, and cracks appeared on the shell. After a while, the shell crumbled, and a baby dragon emerged into the light. The dragon stood on all 4 legs, spread its wings, and let out its first cry. Its body began to radiate energy and light. The first thing the dragon hatchling did was eat the eggshell. It was a stone demon dragon hatchling, possessing the first level of the first rank. Its innate skills were dragon's breath and stone-crushing claws. The dragon hatchling had no hidden paths of evolution. However, its potential had already reached the royal level. Even if there were other hidden paths, they weren't necessarily better than this one. The hatchling ate its fill of eggshell and fell asleep immediately. Lin Ji thought that even though this dragon was only at the first rank, the growth rate of pure-blooded dragons was very high in the early stages. Besides, all the necessary materials for evolution were already available. Lin Ji decided to use his achievement points to boost growth first. With the right materials, he could bring it up to the 3rd rank. The protagonist went out into nature. The young man thought that if the level up occurred indoors, the dragon might suddenly grow in size, and the house would burst from the pressure. Since the materials for evolution were already available, all that remained was to wait for the growth. The protagonist could feel the dragon's energy surging like a storm. The evolution process was proceeding successfully. The stone demon dragon had reached the 3rd level of the 3rd rank. Lin Ji greeted the transformed dragon. Now he couldn't bring himself to call it a baby anymore. The young man stroked the dragon and said that it had grown significantly and even matured. The young man handed the dragon an evolution stone and told it to be sure to eat it. It didn't even need to wash it down with anything. An evolution stone is an extraordinary crystal containing the power of evolution. Once consumed, it activates the evolutionary potential within the pet's body. The stone demon dragon has reached level 4, rank 4. With a breath, the dragon spews dark elemental energy, dealing massive damage to enemies within its radius. Its claws are essential for shattering stones. Lin Ji thought that the pet hadn't unlocked the Stone Blood Mist skill yet. Perhaps its level wasn't high enough yet. Lin Ji wondered if the dragon could control its size. A growl was the only response. The next moment, the dragon shrank in size and fit into the protagonist's palm. The young man realized that the dragon must be able to control its size. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to summon it home. A few days passed. The teacher at the academy announced to the students that she had an important announcement to make. The academy's annual competition would take place in a week. It was a long-awaited event. The students were delighted. Lin Ji wondered, what kind of academy competition is this? A special achievement task appeared. He must win the crown at the upcoming academy competition to become the champion of Jiangning Academy. Lin Ji thought this would unlock new achievements. Generous rewards were promised. Lin Ji asked the teacher if lower-year students could participate in the competition. The answer was yes. The teacher added that, according to academy rules, any student could register. There were no age restrictions. The main requirement was that their academic performance be at a decent level. The teacher added that the academy competition is held on a knockout basis. Most freshmen participate just for the sake of statistics, with a few exceptions. However, in any case, one can register to gain experience for future competitions. Gushini asked if Lin Ji would be participating in the competition. Guan Aning suggested that her brother register. The girls took the boy by the hands and began arguing over which of them had suggested he register first. Tan Yun was still angry at Lin Ji. After all, Guoxinyi was now paying attention only to this guy. Li Pengyun believed that this time he would definitely defeat Lin Jie. Under the cover of darkness, in a locked room, the secret society held secret meetings. One of the Red Moon members named Yan reported that Xin Tao had gone missing. The informant told Mr. Yan that preparations for entering the secret realm had been underway at Ningjing Academy for the past few days. It was normal that Xin Tao could not be contacted. Yan became angry and struck his comrade. Bleeding profusely, the man flew to the side. The young man fell to the floor and asked in surprise, "Why did the gentleman hit him?" Yan asked, "Is it really normal that we can't get in touch?" If he wasn't mistaken, he had been told that the red zone of the secret realm was safe. Where the experimental subjects were being raised, no one would definitely find them. Yan noticed that the experimental subject's energy had vanished. Even the mother body couldn't sense its existence. Why was this happening? Yan surmised that the experimental subject had been stolen. If it was still in the secret realm, how could the mother body not sense it? This was only possible in one scenario: if it was hidden within a spatial object or had already been destroyed. Yan ordered his subordinates to investigate. They needed to find out who had participated in the training and had contact with the test subject. The Ningjing Academy was large, but this had to be determined. The assistants bowed and said they would carry out the orders. A week passed. The grounds of Ningjing Academy. The students were wondering, why had so many people gathered here? Guan Anning asked her brother if he had really been training all week. Had he signed a contract with a third pet? After all, it was a stone demon dragon. Her brother asked Anning to wait until the competition began. Gu Lingyan and Zhang Manman showed up at the academy. The girls called out to our hero. Manman said she knew it. Lin Jie was bound to register. Manman warned that she would be keeping an eye on him. This year's prizes are much more generous. In addition to money, there will be a rare, valuable artifact. Lin Jie thought that the academy would award a rare artifact. Winning would earn him another one. If he won, he would receive 2 artifacts at once. Some participants began to recognize our hero. Among those present were Gaoshan Club President Xu Li and third-year student Liang Jun, the former club president. Liang Jun is a fourth-year student. Liang Jun told Manman not to interfere unnecessarily. The girl asked what Jun had in mind this time. Jun said that Manman's words had hurt him. Did she really think he was a villain? They just hadn't seen each other in a long time, so he decided to say hello. Jun asked if they had run into Luo Han and the others during their last training mission in the secret realm. Manman was surprised. Had their comrades gone missing? Did Liang Jun want to make some kind of accusation? Sanman suggested that Liang Jun didn't know what he was talking about. The chosen successors were weak, and he couldn't even assess his own protege. He was completely useless. Xu Li was indignant. Jun noted that he had merely asked. If Manman said she hadn't seen anything, then that was the case. Liang Jun and his comrades moved on. Guan Anning said that these people suspect them. Gu Lingyang declared that there was nothing to worry about. Besides, they were the victims. No one could prove that they had clashed with Luo Han and his group. Manman noted that Liang Jun had always liked to make a mountain out of a molehill. She was already used to that. The girl added that Xu Li had registered to participate. Even though he's a tail-ender, he's pretty strong. He's the leader of the third-year class and has 3 pets. Manman added that if Lin Jie ran into him at the competition, he should be careful. This guy likes to play dirty. Xu Li and Liang Jun continued along the designated route. Xu Li was indignant. Were they really just going to let these people go? Liang Jun pointed out that without evidence, nothing could be done, even if it really was them. Jun thought it would be better to figure out how to deal with Lin Ji. An ordinary guy, yet strong, and he still hasn't joined the Gaussian Club. If he makes it to the top again at the competition, it could affect the club's reputation. Xu Li remarked, "No matter how talented he is, where will he get the expensive evolution materials? His abilities are no better than average, so he definitely needs to be taught a lesson." The preliminary round has been announced. Participants in Group 11 must prepare. Xu Li will face Lin Jie. Xu Li was delighted. Finally, he would face this guy one-on-one. The girls asked Lin Jie to show his opponent who's boss. The opponents entered the arena. There was very little time left before the start. Lu Ketian, the head of the Jianing Academy, appeared near the arena. The spectators were surprised. Hadn't the director attended the academy's competitions before? The director is one of the 10 strongest in the association. It's no surprise that he can't always attend the competitions. This year, he took the tournament seriously. Beastmaster Yuan asked why director Lu Ketian had decided to attend the competition this year. The director replied that the overall level of the students is significantly higher. Many talented students have emerged. Yuan laughed. Usually the director is busy with work, so he rarely takes an interest in the students. But this year, a young genius has emerged. If the director doesn't pay attention to him, someone else might snatch him up. Lu Kitian asked, "Was you An referring to the student who had passed the highest bronze level exam?" It seemed his name was Lin Jie. The master confirmed it. Earlier, this young man had helped the investigation team capture members of the symbiosis group. Yuan added that the principal had arrived just in time, right as the boy was stepping into the arena. The students tried to guess who would win the match. Xu Li is the third-year class representative, but Lin Jie is also strong. Xu Li has 3 pets, one of which is 5th rank. On top of that, Lin Jie is a freshman. Xu Li said he'd heard about his opponent. They say he's a genius from a humble background. Now he has one last chance to prove himself. Xu Li once again invited Lin Jie to join the Gaoshan Club so that he might benefit from it in the future. Lin Jie reiterated that he wasn't interested. Lin Jie added that he couldn't stand humiliating and arrogant people. Ordinary spirit masters aren't like that. Xu Li called his opponent unscrupulous and added that the guy would feel the difference in strength today. The third-year student summoned his pet, a shark of the water and earth elements, 5th rank, 2nd level. The onlookers were terrified. It was a full-grown male shark, the strongest known pet. Lin Jie was definitely going to lose now. Xu Li declared that a single shark was enough for him to defeat this guy. The shark activated the rough strike skill. The protagonist didn't even bat an eye. Xu Li was surprised. Why isn't this guy summoning his pet? The junior assumed that his opponent was scared and couldn't summon the beast. In any case, this saved the shark some energy. At the most opportune moment, our hero activated his unique abilities and struck the approaching shark. The beast took damage and was deactivated. The male adult 5th rank shark fell onto the arena and didn't move anymore. It was just bleeding out. Xu Li shouted, "That's impossible!" His eyes were filled with horror. The third-year student realized that his shark had been taken down by a soul arrow on the first shot. The onlookers were surprised. Had this guy really not summoned a pet and taken down the shark with a single soul arrow? Manman said it was really cool. Anin praised her brother. Principal Lu Kitian noted that these soul arrows were already above the 6th rank. Xu Li thought, "Why doesn't this guy summon any pets? Is he just messing with us?" The third-year student told Lin Jie not to get cocky. Xu Li added that he simply hadn't taken this guy seriously. Xu Li summoned an elephant-like pet, a 4th rank 8th level creature. He also summoned an ice element snow monkey, a 4th rank 6th level creature. Xu Li shouted for his pets to tear his opponent to pieces. What was the point of a high-level soul arrow? Concentrating the arrow required soul energy. This arrow had drained at least half of his opponent's energy. The third-year student shouted for his opponent to summon his pet immediately. It was time to fight for real. As a result, both of the third-year students' pets were destroyed by precision fire. Xu Li said that was impossible. How could this have happened at all? There really was a gulf between them. Lin Jie declared that Xu Li's strength wasn't worth summoning his pets. The third-year student dropped to his knees and bowed his head. The contest was over. Lin Jie was declared the winner. Manman said she was impressed. Guoshini pointed out that winning the interclass battle would earn them extra points. It looks like Lin Jie will be able to advance directly to the main tournament. Guanamine asked if her brother wanted to watch the competition with her. The young man replied that he was planning to go to the pet store to buy a lot of supplies. Ling Jun was extremely indignant and used profanity. The former head of Gaoshan said that this guy dared to insult the people of their clan. Xu Li noted that Lin Jie had merely used the 3 arrows of the soul to secure victory. His soul power was simply astonishing. Xu Li speculated that the opponent must have used some kind of magical item. Where could an ordinary person have obtained such a powerful item? He probably stole it. The Gaoshan leader said that a formal complaint must be filed against this young man. Liangjun slapped the loser. He asked, "Wasn't the arena enough for him?" Liangjun told his assistants to focus and strike hard. Jun added that academic competitions aren't just about one-on-one battles. He'd find a way to punish that guy personally. Lin Jie walked out of the shop. His pet, a dragon, was perched on his head. The young man believed he had acquired the necessary materials at a very high price. The materials for enhancement had changed from essence to primordial source. The price per material had increased 5-fold. Compared to the price hike, the most expensive material on the path to enhancement was the knot stone. The materials required for evolution were not available on site. Lin Jie thought he needed to find a way to make money. It would be better to go through the relevant dungeons right away and gather the materials. The young man saw a brick wall blocking the passage ahead of him. He was surprised. Could this be an illusion? A voice behind him asked, "Did the guy notice?" The protagonist turned around. Strangers appeared behind Linji. They were emissaries of the Red Moon. A girl named Silence asked, "Isn't this guy's name Linji?" An envoy of the Red Moon named Speech told the girl to act more seriously. Silence promised to be more serious and noticed that Speech was in a hurry again. Silence said that just recently in the secret realm, this guy had taken something that didn't belong to him. Linji, with a dragon on his head, said he didn't understand what she was talking about. The young man tried to figure out who these people were. The protagonist realized that these people were connected to the Red Moon realm. Silence told the young man not to pretend because they had already investigated everything. What was on his chest was Shintao's spatial artifact. Silence added that it was precisely because of this that he had managed to attain such power at such a young age, and the head became very interested in this young man. If the young man agreed to join the Red Moon Guild, everything he had done and taken could be undone in a single stroke. The girl noted that this young man was smart and talented, but in this world, talent requires resources. The guild could give him what the academy could not. Linji declared that he refused. Silence remarked that the young man was misjudging the situation. A ban has been imposed in this area. No one will come to save him. Either the young man must join the Red Moon Guild or he will die. Behind these people, their summoned pets appeared. Silence said that Linji now has two options. The people involved in this matter won't leave the young man alone. If Linjia joins them, the guild leader might consider sparing them. Linji was surprised. Were they really trying to intimidate him now? Linji summoned Snow Maiden and Stone Spirit and asked again, "Do these people really think he only has two options?" The protagonist declared that he was choosing a third option. The representatives of the Red Moon would be destroyed. Stone Spirit and Snow Maiden set about carrying out the task. The opponent's summoned beasts were attacked. Moreover, this attack came as a surprise to them. Linji called on the Snow Maiden to show what she was capable of. Extreme cold was needed. The red-headed monkey was struck by an icy arrow and took significant damage. The humanoid pet decided to take the brunt of the attack and headed toward the monkey. The pet leaned over the monkey and began to suck the blood out of it. After that, the protagonist watched in horror as the pet began tearing the monkey's body apart and devouring it. Linji was surprised. Could these monsters really be eating each other? The transformed pet began to display excessive aggression. Silence said she hadn't expected any other outcome from the experiment. This power and style are fueled by the organism's energy. Silence ordered the demon to tear its opponent to pieces. The boy must understand just how foolish it was to rebel against the Red Moon Guild. Our hero's pets transformed into Frost Maiden and Demonic Stone Spirit. Linji stepped on the spilled blood and said it was disgusting. The inspection skill was activated. Silence said it wasn't disgusting. This creation of their guild was an experiment surpassing ordinary demonic pets. Linji was surprised. Could it really not be an ordinary demonic pet? The young man confirmed that the system couldn't determine any information about this object. There wasn't even an evolutionary line. There was no name or stats either. This monster had devoured a demonic monkey. Thanks to this, its power had increased significantly. The more wounds it sustained, the stronger it became. The intelligence data had proven accurate. Now it was necessary to quickly and efficiently destroy this creature. Linji thought that the Snow Maiden and the others were connected. His strength had been depleted in the previous battle. The protagonist decided in that case to test what his third pet was capable of. Silence asked, was Linji really going to resist? But that was pointless. He wouldn't be able to change his fate. Speech said that even though the young man's stats weren't bad, he wouldn't be able to defeat them with just two pets. Silence surmised that this guy had contracted with a magical dragon, probably from the secret realm. But judging by his build, he was just a kid. The pet began to transform and turned into a large dragon. Linji asked his opponents, "Who told you it was a baby?" Silence was surprised. How is that possible? After all, this is already its adult form. The girl asked what Linji had done to this pet. Linji declared that he wasn't obligated to explain anything to these people. Our hero ordered the dragon to attack the representatives of the Red Moon. Suddenly, Captain Yuan appeared in the alley, accompanied by his assistants. He ordered all escape routes to be blocked. It was also necessary to check if anyone was injured. The captain was surprised. What is Linji doing here? Yuan saw the bound Red Moon representatives and asked, "Did that guy really capture these two?" Linji informed the captain that he had a very important report. People from the Red Moon Guild had already infiltrated the academy. Moreover, they were conducting some kind of dangerous experiment. The investigation team's office, 25th floor. Captain Yuan offered the young man some tea and said it was very hot. Lin Ji thanked him. Yuan sat down across from him and reported that a tip had come in. Concerned citizens had reported that suspicious individuals had appeared near the academy. He hadn't expected them to be members of the Red Moon, especially since they would be coming for Lin Ji. Yuan asked, "Does the young man really think that people from the Red Moon have already infiltrated the academy? Could there be spies working within the academy?" Lin Ji voiced his suspicion that a mole had appeared within the academy's ranks. The young man placed a spatial ring on the table and said that it originally belonged to Xin Tao from the Gaoshan Club. Recently, during training in the secret realm, their paths had crossed and a skirmish had ensued. They had ventured deep into the territory and provoked a stone demon dragon during its breeding season. This was done in order to steal an egg from the dragon. However, their plan failed. They were destroyed by another stone dragon. Lin Ji added that after defeating the monster, he inspected the abandoned nest. A secret door was discovered there. Yuan was surprised. Had the young man really found the secret room of the Red Moon Guild? Lin Ji added that the people from the Red Moon had ended up in territory controlled by the Jiangning Academy. Even back then, that had struck him as strange. Recently, they managed to identify Xin Tao's artifact. Lin Ji speculated that Xin Tao was in cahoots with the Red Moon Guild. The captain said he would send people right away to sort everything out there. Yuan expressed confidence that he would also be able to extract a great deal of useful information from the captives. Lin Ji asked about the prototype. He had destroyed one. Would the captain take the prototype's body for analysis? Yuan revealed some intelligence. The Red Moon Guild was breeding artificial demonic pets. This was top secret information, but Lin Ji had the right to know it. Lin Ji recalled that the Masters Association was also involved in breeding. Yuan confirmed this. The spirit turtle of the investigation team is a special breed developed many years ago. But with demonic creatures, it's a different story. Some beasts have an admixture of demonic blood. However, pure-blooded demons can only come into being in one way. This can happen through a summoning ritual. The captain said that in any case, they are conducting an investigation and have already raided several underground hatcheries. Yuan added that the people of Red Moon had taken an interest in the newcomer, so Lin Ji must exercise caution. The young man would be given a special communicator. If he got into trouble again, he must contact them immediately. Lin Ji said that in that case, he would return to the academy. Yuan added that he would take care of the young man. However, this incident must be kept quiet. The matter is strictly classified. The young man looked at his bracelet. It was the association's communicator. In case of danger, he needed to press the button, and a signal with his coordinates would be sent. On the academy grounds, a teacher was addressing the students. Guananin asked why her brother hadn't replied to her messages the night before. Lin Ji explained that he had gotten too absorbed in practicing the art of the soul. His phone had run out of battery and shut off. He would be more careful next time. Anning said the main thing was that her brother was okay. She had been worried and thought someone from the Gaoshan Club was harassing him. The girl reminded him that the main matches of the tournament would begin today. Lin Ji entered the arena accompanied by his pet Snow Maiden, who was dressed as Santa Claus. His opponent was second-year student Zhao Jie. His pet was a rocky turtle, possessing a 4th-rank first level. The referee in the arena announced that the battle was beginning. Lin Ji emerged victorious in this battle. He advanced to the top 32. The spectators were puzzled. What had just happened? Why was there no sign of skill? They hadn't even seen when the icy pet managed to land a blow. The rock turtle's absolute defense had been pierced by ice. The next match pitted Lin Ji against Li Yunyun. Li Yunyun was a 3rd-year student. Her summoned beast was a shadow leopard, possessing a 4th-rank, 2nd-level status. Li Yunyun announced that she was giving up. The girl had changed her mind about participating in this battle. The audience was surprised. Could a 3rd-year student really just give up? A girl in the VIP box stared intently at the protagonist and called him by name. She said that this guy was quite interesting. Next, our hero's opponents were the pets, the wood demon and the withered beast. The demonic stone spirit destroyed these pets, and the protagonist rose in the rankings. The Yellow Sands lizard, a 4th-rank first-tier creature, was also defeated. It was bound by icy chains. The spectators cheered. Could it really be another one-hit victory? How awesome is this Lin Ji? Is he really just a freshman? Our hero heard the entire audience chanting his name. This recognition was well-deserved. The young man enjoyed collecting the rewards. He assumed that in the next battles, the rewards would be even better. At one point, the young man was surprised. He didn't understand what was happening. However, the prizes really did keep getting bigger each time. Many withdrew from the competition. Cho Xiong said upon meeting him that Lin Jie was, as always, on top of his game. He had really intimidated the third-year students, which is why many withdrew from the tournament. Lin Jie had raised the prestige of the first-year class. He Xinye said that Lin Jie was the first freshman in the academy's history to make it into the main tournament and reach the semifinals. Tan Yun and Li Pengyun were upset because they hadn't even made it past the qualifying rounds. Why was the gap between them only widening? Guan Anning wondered if the 3 rounds were automatically counted due to his opponent's withdrawal. Who would he face in the semifinals? Her sister told her that the matchups had been posted. Her brother's opponent was Liang Jun. Lin Jie thought it was just a coincidence. Once again, he would have to face the Gaoshan club. Cho Xiong recalled that this guy was the former head of Gaoshan. Xiong noted that Lin Jie didn't have a very good relationship with the Gaoshan club to begin with, and now he'd have to face Liang Jun as well. He was a very dangerous opponent. Xiong mentioned that Liang Jun ranks second in the 4th-year rankings. He is a bronze rank master. He has 3 5th-rank fire pets. It is also said that he possesses a secret family soul art that he has never demonstrated in public. It is capable of instantly raising the rank of his pets. The academy director said that Lin Jie had exceeded all his expectations. Yuan pointed out that he had noticed this guy a long time ago. The principal was wrong not to believe him, because this is no joke. Lin Jie was able to take down 2 fallen ones single-handedly, extremely dangerous criminals who are officially wanted. Compared to the battle against the fallen, this tournament is child's play for him. A girl in the VIP box asked Xiao Zhou who she thought would advance to the finals. Xiao Zhou asked her companion, "What do you think?" The girl was certain that Liang Jun would win. His opponent might be strong, but he was just a freshman. The girl was surprised. Could it be that Xiao Zhou had decided to bet on Lin Jie? Xiao Zhou replied that Lin Jie hadn't even shown his true strength yet. The girl said that if even Xiao Zhou believed in this freshman, then she would support him too. After all, Xiao Zhou is the leader of the 4th-year class, so we should trust her instincts. The girl asked what would happen if Xiao Zhou faced off against this guy in the finals. It would be the battle of the century, a brilliant, beautiful leader versus a monster of a freshman. Liang Jun told his opponent that he would claim this victory for himself. Lin just said that Liang Jun wouldn't be able to win with just talk. I guess everyone at Gaoshan Club is that talkative. Jun summoned his pets and expressed hope that the young man would remain just as defiant by the end of the battle. The audience was horrified. Liang Jun decided not to mess around. His Flame Weaver was ready for a new evolution. 3 5th-rank pets. Lin Jie definitely wouldn't last long. The protagonist said it was just a coincidence. He also happened to have 3 pets. Lin Jie summoned Snow Maiden, the Stone Spirit, and the Dragon. The audience was surprised. Who is this? Could it really be a stone demon dragon? Guan Anning and Guo Xinyi acknowledged that it was indeed a stone demon dragon. Gulangyan noted that, judging by its size, this dragon was already in its adult form. In such a short time, he had managed to hatch an egg, sign a contract, and raise his pet by so many levels. Just how many more tricks does this guy have up his sleeve?